Greetings students, as your boards approached, so it is crucial to optimize your revision time effectively. As we all are aware about the blooming pressure of upcoming English board exam, but afraid not, no apprehensions, we are here to share useful insights of revision with you. So let's start. English language and literature, code 184. Okay. Now, I am going to give you a highlight of your weightage of each section. Now, your subject-wise weightage goes like section A, it is of 20 marks. Section B, your writing skills with grammar, which is of 20 marks again. And section C, language through literature, it is of 40 marks. The most weightage which you are going to get. Now, let's come to section A, reading skills, which is of 20 marks, and it is consists of reading comprehension through unseen passage, in which you are going to get two unseen passages. One is discursive passage and another one is case-based passage. Your discursive passage is of 400 to 450 words limit, and which is of 10 marks. That means each question carry 1 mark. And your second unseen passage is case-based factual passage, which completely depends on the visual input. And it can be statistical data, charts, or any data you can get, which is of 200 to 250 word limit. It is again of 10 marks. That means each question carry 1 mark. You are going to get 10 questions. And your questions in unseen passages can be based on MCQ types, objective types, very short answer type questions. It can be asked to assess your comprehension and interpretation of the skills and vocabulary too. Now, your section B, which consists of grammar and writing skills. And it is of, again, grammar is of 10 marks. And the topics which they are going to cover in the grammar section are determiners, tenses, modals, subject-verb conjugae, and reported speech. In the writing skill, you are going to get the two questions, 5 marks each. Your first question is a formal letter, and it can be based on any of the situation, like letter to the editor, inquiry letter, letter of placing order. In this question, the choice is given to you. You have to choose one letter very judiciously, and it is of 5 marks. Now, your second question in writing skill is about the analytical paragraph. That means a one map, bar graph, bar diagram, chart, or any of the data in any of the form has been given to you, and you have to analyze, interpret the data, and you have to summarize in a single paragraph only, which is of 5 marks. Now, the most weightage is of literature section, which is of 40 marks. Quite weightage high. Now, in this, the question is going to give in this pattern. Question number is reference to the context. That means extract based questions. You are going to get 2 extracts. Question number 6, 1 extract out of 2 extracts. It is from drama or from prose. That means out of 2, you have to choose, you have to select 1 extract to attempt. Your next extract is from the poetry section. Again, in this extract, in this question, you are going to get the choice. And the question in extracts, it can be depend on the multiple choice questions, objective type questions, very short answer type questions you can get, or you can get the one word questions too. And in the short answers, you have to give your answers very briefly and very precisely within the 30 to 40 words. They will be asked to assess your inference, your analysis, your interpretation and to check your vocabulary too. Now, your next question in the literature section is a very short answer type question. And in this section, question number 8, in which from 5 questions, you have to attempt only 4 questions, and these questions you are going to get from your book First Flight. Each question consists of 3 marks. So again, you have to choose the question which you are going to attempt very smartly and attentively too. Your next question, question number 9, in which 3 short answer type questions are given to you, and out of 3, you have to attempt only 2 questions within 40 to 40 word limit. Now, long answer type questions. The first question which you are going to get is from the book First Flight, and the long question you have to answer in about 100 to 120 words. This can be passage based question, this can be value based, this can be situation based, this can be in the form of any plot, and 1 out of 2 question you have to attempt. Now again, the next question, question number 11, you are going to get from your book Footprints Without Feet, and again 1 out of 2 you have to attempt, and this question can be based on the theme of the chapter, or you can say plot involving the interpretation, or you can say the plot beyond the text too, character sketch of any of the character of the element of the story, or it can be theme based too, and it can be value based too. It again consists of 6 marks. So overall, in your question paper, you are going to get the 11 questions. Now, I am going to share a useful tips for you. The very and the foremost thing is those 15 minutes which you are going to get for reading of the question paper. I must advise you, you should use those 15 minutes very judiciously, intelligently and smartly. First, in the reading time allotted, which is of 15 minutes, I must advise you, do not waste time reading the whole question paper. Okay, instead of reading the whole question paper, we are going to get the all 3 hours to read the question paper. Better to utilize these 15 minutes in the comprehension and the reading of the passage carefully. Check the questions very carefully and head us smart. Move very smartly, confidently, and be sure the reading section is very scoring. You are not going to get marks loose in this section, because every answer of the reading section is there in the question paper and in the given passage itself. So read the questions carefully and answer briefly as required. Now, be very careful. Don't miss writing the question number. The most common error the children do in the exam, they forget to write the question number, they got perplexed, they got confused, they became panicked, and they forget to write the question number. Next is pay attention to your presentation. It matters a lot. Your writing speaks a lot about you. Your presentation and neatness of your answer sheet speaks a lot. It's a shouting letters, you can say, I must say. Now, next point is you have to underline the value points. The value points which you are writing in your answers. You have to point out the keywords, the important terms, the important characters. The value point means on the points which you are going to get the marks, on which you are going to get the good score. Wherever necessary, use pencil. Wherever. Follow the word limit given with every question. It saves times. We told you number of times that you should adhere to the word limit. Do not exceed the word limit, because it gives a negative impact to the examiner too about your answer sheet, as well it is totally a wastage of time. Your English exam is already lengthy a lot. Now, read the comprehension passage very carefully. I want to give you one tip, a very smart tip, that read the questions first of the unseen passages. When you read the question of the unseen passages, you are definitely going to get the answers very quickly and very intelligently. Now, next is read the chapters very thoroughly of literature, and you must learn and know about all the poets and the authors of all the chapters. This is very important. Now, because it might be in the extract too, you are going to get one question regarding the who is the poet. You should know about the poets and the authors. Go through the formats of the writing sections. This is very important about the format. Because of the format, you are going to get the marks. A single mark in the letter 2, 1 mark, it is a format. Now, make proper paragraphs while attempting formal letters. That means when you want to change the paragraph, you want to change your statement, you have to break the paragraph. Now, don't leave any question unattempted. This is very important. Might be you don't know about the question. Might be you are not able to jot down the important points and the value points, but you should never leave your question attempted. Write something about the chapter, write something about the story, write something about the character, because you never know where the examiner is going to get impressed by your value point. Might be just by jotting down the point, you are going to get the answer too. Do not overwrite your answers and waste time. That means cuttings, which you people usually do. Your cuttings, suppose you write name Lencho, and you write the wrong spelling. So instead, don't you do this. Write whatsoever you want to write very confidently, because it shows your poor learning. It shows this. Do not exceed the word limit. I am going to convey you, adhere to the word limit, and end up compromising on some other question due to lack of time, because sometimes when we very well prepared with the answer, we write in, when we go on, and it sometimes happen that we have to compromise with the next question. That means due to shortage of time or anything could happen. Every question matters and must be attempted very thoroughly. Keep this thing in your mind. Every question, whichsoever is there in the question paper, L matters. It consists of marks and you should attempt very thoroughly. Yes, read the MCQs very carefully. Choose your answer by the elimination method. Don't waste time if get stuck in any option. Do not waste time. Because sometimes you people become panic. You have anxiety problem that you don't know the answer. Better to switch on the next question. In long answers, begin the answer from what has been asked. The most important thing. You have to start the answer what has been asked in the question, and then you may further explain. You can further explain whatsoever the necessary or correlate the text with your opinion to. If asked, you can make different paragraphs also. You can break your answer in the form of paragraphs too. Now, don't change the number used for questions parts. Example, if ABCD has been used for subparts, use ABCD in answer 2, not in 1, 2, 3 and 4. That means when you give the answers in the form of, suppose A, B, C, D, options have been given in this form, and you utilize 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is wrong. The question which has been asked in the form, you have to answer in that form only. Okay? Write very neatly and very clearly. This is very important. Leave 2-3 lines after each questions. Okay? Better, please pay attention on this. Your answers which you have written, don't make it clumsy. Leave lines proper. A big sheet the board is going to provide you. Don't worry. Start both the questions of writing section from the new page. You have to start the writing section from the new page, and every question, that means both the questions of the writing section, you have to start from the new page itself. Now, I want to give you a key how to attempt an analytical paragraph. Every question is having a certain word limit. We adhere to it. It should be very brief. Whatsoever have been asked, you have to answer that only. It should be precise, well directed, clear and crisp language you should use. Simple language you can use. Don't add on your language. Don't make your language very flowery. Make it simple and straight. Personal opinions should not be included in the paragraph. Data has been provided to you. Data has been given to you. Don't give your personal opinions. Don't give. It should be clearly portray the stated facts. That means whatsoever facts has been given in the paragraph, whatsoever facts has been given to you, you have to interpret your data in that form only. Highlight the comparisons and variations if you have been observed, but use appropriate words. Use appropriate words. Follow a sequential and logical pattern. That means in the logical form, in which pattern the data has been given to you, you have to jot down your answer. You have to jot down your paragraph in that form only. Now, for the letter, always follow the letter format. We have given you the letter format. Later on, we will tell you the format of the letter too. So don't worry, don't panic. Revise the format which we have given to you very thoroughly. The subject of the letter must be clearly stated. That means, why are you writing the letter? It should be clearly stated. Use simple and the direct language. Don't make your language very flowery, ornamental or artificial kind of. Proper punctuation marks should be used. Correct spellings should be used. Use very polite way of writing, and you better to use gentle words only. Provide clear details and information of the letter. And the very common error, the very common mistake you people do, yes, very common mistake. Don't use this. It's clear? Now, let's start with the prose, with the book, First Flight. We are going to dive into the first flight now. Your very and the foremost chapter, A Letter to God, and I believe favorite of number of the students, favorite letter, Lencho, who is a hard-working farmer. Post office employees, postmaster, who is very caring and benevolent man. These are the main characters of A Letter to God. Now children, I am going to start with the quick revision of your book, First Flight. I am going to highlight the important points and the important characters of all the chapters. So please pay attention and follow me. Now, the basic theme of the chapter, A Letter to God. Faith and hope can move mountains. So, let's start. Lencho's hope for good harvest. Lencho was a farmer who lived on the crest of a hill with his family. It was the only house in the valley. His field was full of ripe corn and easily visible from the house. He was eagerly waiting for a good rain to have a good harvest so he could earn money for his family. Now, suddenly, a turning point happened. As Lencho hoped, it started raining. He was happy. He was elated. His family members also got happy. But suddenly, what had happened? The rain turns into a hailstorm, which is totally a despair for the entire family. And his whole crops have been covered with the snow like a layer of white salt. Lencho was worried for his family. He was full of anxiety now. But this man Lencho has a firm faith and firm belief in God, the supreme power in this world, in this universe. He found God as his last hope, and what he had done, he had decided to write a letter to God for help. He didn't ask for help to anybody, to any of the human being. He believed in the supreme power. Can you understand his firm faith in the supreme power, in the Lord, in the God? He asked God to send him how many pesos? 100 pesos. So that he can sow his field again and get a support for his family until the new crops were harvested. He also wrote that if God didn't help him, his family would die with hunger. That means he had extreme faith in the God. Now, the letter reached to the post office, and the reaction of the post office employees, it is certain kind of, they were laughing. Postmaster laughed too much. They laughed too much about that the sender has sent a letter to the God. This is a very strange address. Now, the postmaster laughed, but soon he realized the Lencho's firm faith which he had in a God. He decided to help Lencho with the help of his post office employees, and they collected the amount in the form of charity, but they were able to collect only 70 pesos and handed the envelope to Lencho himself, in which he also contributed a part of his salary. That means, who has contributed a part of his salary? The postmaster. Now, when Lencho received his mail, he got angry that why he had got less money, because he received only 70 peso in the envelope as he demanded for 100 peso. He didn't believe. He don't believe that a God could do a mistake, that God can do such kind of mistake. So what he had done? He had decided to write a letter again to the God. This time he requested God not to send the rest of the money through the letter, because he had an opinion. He thought that the post office employees were a bunch of crooks. The main highlight of the chapter, a bunch of crooks who have stolen his money. So this is the irony of the chapter. Now, next, Nelson Mandela, A Long Walk to Freedom. Students, now we are going to switch on the next chapter, Nelson Mandela, A Long Walk to Freedom. I am going to share the highlights and insights of the chapter. Please pay attention. We are going to talk about the Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela was the first black president of South Africa who fought for the equal rights of the black people. He suffered a lot of pain for the freedom. Janani, a daughter of Nelson Mandela, accompanied Nelson Mandela in the inauguration ceremony. She was very much close to him. Next character, Thabo Mbeki, first deputy president of South Africa. He was also very close to Nelson Mandela. Mr. de Klerk, the second deputy president of South Africa. The inauguration ceremony, which was on 10th May, the day when the oath with a bright and shiny sun was taken by Nelson Mandela, and he was supposed to take the oath as the first black president of South Africa. A large number of leaders from all around the world gathered on the soil of South Africa to witness this swearing-in ceremony of Nelson Mandela as the first black president of South Africa. Now, the inauguration ceremony took place in which building? The Union Buildings Amphitheatre in Pretoria, where the first democratic and non-racial government was to be installed. The swearing-in ceremony of Nelson Mandela, who had accompanied Nelson Mandela? Janani, daughter of Nelson Mandela. Mr. de Klerk was the first person who took oath as the second deputy president. That means the first oath has been taken by Mr. de Klerk as the second deputy president, which was followed by Thabo Mbeki, who sweared as the first deputy president of South Africa. Nelson Mandela was the last person who swore as the first black president of South Africa. And in his oath, he pledged to obey and uphold the constitution and to devote himself to the well-being of the people. He also promised to make the nation free from poverty, deprivation, suffering, and all sort of discrimination which the South Africans were suffered a lot. Now, display of military power by South African jets. When Mandela had taken an oath, South African jets displayed the military power, and it showed the loyalty of military towards the newly installed government. The highest military general saluted Nelson Mandela, and that at that time he recounted those days when these all highest military generals arrested him. It was followed by the playing of two national anthems. On that day, how many national anthems have been played? Two national anthems. The white sang Percy Sekelil and the old song Black Song Die Stand. The new song which marked the end of the ceremony. In this way, the end of the ceremony has been marked. Now, a quick highlights. 10th of May was the day of freedom for South Africa, and there was a huge gathering of international leaders and dignitaries all around the world. Inauguration ceremony was swearing in ceremony and was being held in Union Building in Pretoria, and the first known racial government took the change, that means took the charge. Nelson Mandela gave speech on the victory for justice, peace, and human dignity. Mandela pledged to liberate his people from poverty, suffering, and discrimination. A colorful show by Impala jets to show military loyalties took place. Two national anthems have been played on that day. Mandela remembered and thanked the people who sacrificed their lives for the freedom. Salutation to some great freedom fighters: Oliver Tambo, Walter Sisulu, Chief Lotley, Yusuf Dadoo, and others too. Mandela also said in speech that a country is rich because of its people, not because of the minerals. As we all know about, South Africa is very famous and a rich country in minerals and gems. But Nelson Mandela believed that might be the country is rich in minerals and gems, but the real gems of the country are its people. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the victory over it. People should love others and not hate them due to the color or religion or caste or any other basis. And loves come naturally, not by force, which is the natural goodness. He also stated that a man should try to make a balance between his two duties. That means two obligations. Two obligations which has been mentioned in the chapter. One is towards the country and one is towards its people. Now, according to Nelson Mandela, freedom has many aspects. Like for kid, it is to run and play. For an adult, it is to fulfill the needs of his own as well as his family too. But real freedom actually means equal rights for everyone whosoever live in the country. Nelson Mandela joined the African National Congress. He desired people to live with dignity and respect. He wanted the oppressor and oppressed to be liberated too. Now, next chapter, two stories about flying, in which you are going to get the two parts. The first part is two stories about flying. Actually, two stories about flying is an extract in which two chapters are there, two extracts are there, and they both are very motivational and both are the inspiring stories. So let's dive in the first part. The first his first flight. About the characters. Family of seagull, in which 6 members are there in the family. A young seagull, one who is unable to fly due to fear. This is a story about a family of seagulls. There was a young child in the family who was unable to fly even after several tries. The story highlights the importance of family and friends in one's life, how they motivated someone, how they motivated and inspire others to do well, to do wonders. It also gives the message that one needs to believe in self to overcome all the hurdles of the life. Now, about the seagull family. The seagull family consists of 6 seagulls, mother, father, 3 sons and 1 daughter. His parents have tried several times to teach him how to fly, but he is scared. Due to that, he does not want to try anymore. He is not taking try. Young seagull was fear of flying. The youngest seagull was afraid of flying as he thinks that if he flies, his wings would not support him. He is having that phobia that his wings are not going to support him. And he would fall down in the sea below and drown. Even his parents have rebuked him. They even threatened him. If he doesn't fly, he would die of hunger, but he does not try because of fear. What fear? He will fall down. Parents leave young seagull all alone. After so many failed attempts, his parents leave him all alone in the rock without food. They even taunted him for his cowardice. What they consider him? Coward. The young seagull looks at his brother and sister, those who are enjoying swimming, diving into and skimming from the waves. They were very happy and he was watching them continuously. Now, but no one comes near him to offer food. He was hungry. Now, suddenly, hunger and heat increases in the atmosphere. As the time passes, the young seagull could not tolerate the hunger anymore and the heat. He moves closer to the edge and pretends to fall asleep. But nobody takes notice of him. His brother and sisters have already had hearty breakfast and father seems busy preening the feathers on his back. The mothers look at him, tries to tempt him with pieces of fish. Her begging and crying does not affect the mother anymore. Now, suddenly, the young seagull dived for the food. The young seagull was very hungry. He was surprised enough at his mother's ignorance of the pitiful condition. Thus, he dives for the food. He begins to fall down with a scream as soon as he dives. Now the flight begins. The young seagull begins to fall in the sea. He is afraid of drowning, so he tries to spread his wings outwards and begins flying. He feels a little dizzy, but all his fear suddenly vanished. He soared slowly downwards and upwards. He could finally fly on his own. Joy of flight and reunion of family. The seagull becomes so happy and soars higher, calling ga 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 gab in their own language. They are showing their joy, merriment in the form of their language. A joyous moment for the whole family. His brothers and sister, along with his parents, come near to encourage and cheer him. The young seagull successfully made his first flight. In this way, the young seagull made his first flight. Now, the next extract in the chapter, 2 stories about flying, is the black aeroplane. In the story, the narrator was flying to England to meet with family to enjoy his holiday. He wanted to reach England in time so that he could enjoy a good big English breakfast. This is one of the highlights of this chapter. With his family. So he started his trip. The author was flying his aeroplane, Old Dakota. Which plane? Old Dakota. At night over France to England. He was eager to meet his family. He was dreaming of his holiday. The stars were shining very bright in the clear sky. Sky is clear. Even the city could be seen down below. He called Paris control. Suddenly he called Paris control to get the instructions about in which way the compass has to be turned. He was instructed to turn how many degrees? 12 degrees towards west. Fear of storm. Everything was going well. The flight was easy. Suddenly, something had happened. What had happened? Now we are going to read in the fear of storm. Everything was going well before he saw the storm cloud. Suddenly, a huge cloud, black cloud, like big mountains, appeared. And now the Paris was about how many kilometers away? It is about 150 kilometers behind him. It was natural for the author to panic. He knew that it was not possible to fly up and over those storm clouds. He got confused. But suddenly, a risky but brave decision of the author. He entered in the storm. And do you know what is the motivation? Why he had entered in the storm? The motivation is big English breakfast. With his family. Now, but the compass as well as the other instruments stopped working. He was unable to see outside the plane, and the plane was jumping and twisting in the air. He tried to contact the Paris control but couldn't. Why? Because all instruments of the aeroplane stopped working. Suddenly, what had happened? He lost in the storm. A black aeroplane appeared. Suddenly, a very strange thing happened. A black aeroplane appeared. The pilot of the another plane waved at him and signaled to follow him. The pilot of the another aeroplane, black aeroplane, waved at it. It means to follow him, because he did not. He should follow because he didn't have any option, and he followed. The author flew for half an hour, which was quite strange to him, as he had fuel only for 5 or 10 minutes only. He felt tearful. But suddenly, he saw two bright lines in front of him. It was a runway. He was able to land safely, which gave him a sigh of relief. It was just like a miracle for him. Now, to his greatest surprise, what is the surprising element of the story? The author came out from his plane to thank the pilot of the black aeroplane, but he was shocked to see no one there. Immediately, he went to the control tower and asked the woman who was sitting over there. Hearing his words, the woman laughed and said that there was no other aeroplane except his plane. It was a big surprise to the author, and he was dumbfounded as he had no explanation for the miracle. Might be supernatural power helped him, but it is a mystery. A biggest mystery for the author. Now, your next chapter number 4 from the Diary of Anne Frank. Let's talk about the characters of the Anne Frank. Anne Frank, who is a 13 years old girl who writes a diary while she is hiding in Amsterdam from Nazis during World War II. And your chapter from the diary of the Anne Frank has been taken as an extract from the book The Diary of a Young Girl. Margot Frank, Annie's sister, she is 3 years older than Annie. Otto Frank, Annie's father, Mrs. Frank, Annie's mother, and Mr. Keesing, who was her teacher of mathematics. And Mr. Keesing was always annoyed by Annie because of her talkative nature, because Annie speaks too much. Now, let's start with the overview of the chapter. Annie was a 13-year-old girl, and his father gifted him a diary. So she decided to write her diary, which she considered to be her best friend in loneliness. And she named her diary Kitty. What is the name of the diary? Kitty. She began writing in June 1942. In her first entry, she expressed her desire to confide everything to the diary, as she hadn't been able to do so to anyone else. She said that paper had more patience than people. She believes that paper has more patience than people. Her childhood and family, Annie called her father as the most adorable person. He was 36. His father was 36-year-old when he got married to her mother, who was just of 25 years of age. She has an older sister whose name was Margot. She had about 30 people around her, but she had no true friend. She believed that. That's why she is writing in the diary about the feelings which she was not able to share with anybody or anyone else. They lived in Frankfurt for some time, but as they were Jewish, they had to migrate to Holland for refuge. Her mother stayed with her grandmother but went to Holland to her father. Now, let's talk about the Annie schooling. She was sent to a Montessori nursery school. She stayed there until she was 6. At her farewell, she and her headmistress, Mrs. Cuperus, had tears in their eyes. She is very attached to her headmistress, Mrs. Cuperus, and she had a tearful farewell. Her grandmother's death. In the summer of 1941, her grandmother fell ill. She had to be operated upon, but she died in January 1942. It gave Annie a shock, and she did not write her diary in that period. But after that, she wrote again as she thought of her grandmother's love and affection. Now, Annie view about teachers. Many of you also have the same view about the teachers, I believe. Annie was not good at maths. She is not good at mathematics. So she and her friend Seth were always worried about it. But she was sure that she would go to the next class. But they both were pretty sure that they are going to pass and they are going to get in the next class. She always considered teachers the most unpredictable creatures on this earth. Annie believed that teachers are the most unpredictable creatures on this earth. Teachers can take any decision at any moment, at any time on the earth. So she told her friends not to lose hope. Now, first we have talked about Mrs. Cuperus. Another teacher which we talk about is Mr. Keesing, who was the maths teacher of Annie. Annie was a good student, but he had good relation and she had a good relationship with all the teachers except Mr. Keesing, who taught her maths, who is the mathematics teacher. He was always annoyed by her talkative nature. Actually, Annie was very talkative by nature, and Mr. Keesing don't like this talkative nature of Annie. He used to give extra homework as punishment. This is also an innovative method by Mr. Keesing to give punishment. He asked her to write an essay on a chatterbox. Now, after the completion of homework, she wrote the 3 pages for her satisfaction. She defined a title, a chatterbox, like it is a feature of a student to talk. This is the attribute of the students to talk in the class. And she also mentioned that she inherited this trait from her mother, who also used too much in the class. She justified the title, a chatterbox, in this form. Now, homework given as punishment again. For some time, Annie sat quietly in the class, but again, it's a natural and inherited trait of the Annie. She again started talking in the class. Mr. Keesing again gave it the punishment. Mr. Keesing read Annie's essay in front of class and laughed at it. He gave her another essay as punishment on the topic, an incorrigible chatterbox. Now, again she jot down, again she write. After some time, again she can't resist herself from talking. Again she got another topic for the writing an essay. Quack, 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 said Mistress Chatterbox. Now, how many essays Annie got? 3. A chatterbox, an incorrigible chatterbox, and the third one is quack, 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 said Mistress Chatterbox. Annie mocks Mr. Keesing amusingly with her homework. Now, what she had decided, she wanted to write something interesting and different this time. She has formed determination about this. So, with the help of her friend Sant, who was good at poetry, she decided to write an essay in the form of verse. That means in the form of poem, in the form of poetry. It was about three ducklings going deaf because their father duck beat them as they quacked too much. Mr. Keesing took the joke in the very right manner, in the positive manner, and didn't bother Annie for talking after that incident. She was not even given any extra homework after that. Now, your next chapter, Glimpses of India, in which three parts are there. Part number 1, a baker from Goa, Coorg, and tea from Assam. Part 1, a baker from Goa, bread making in Goa. We are going to talk about bread making in Goa. This is a pen portrait of the traditional Goan village baker who is still remembered by Goans. Bread making started from the Portuguese days. They were the lovers of bread. Bread making was an art which needed perfection. Mixing, molding, and baking were the areas of specialization of making bread. The loaves were baked in time-tested furnaces. This profession has been continued by the baker's descendants. Now, let's talk about the author's childhood days, which has been recalled in the chapter. The writer remembers his childhood days when the baker used to be their friend, companion, as well as their guide too. He used to visit twice a day, once in the morning time during his selling hours, and then again while returning after selling all his breads. The jingling thud of the bamboo he carried woke them up in the morning. The children got very excited by the arrival of the bakers, and they came to know by the jingling thud of the bamboo, which they carry in their hand, and suddenly by their jingling thud, all the children woke up, and they ran to meet and greet the bakers. Children were excited about the bread bangles, donuts, sweet bread. Now, as the baker came, he would call out the lady of the house and wish her good morning. The children would be pushed aside and the loaves would be delivered to the maid servant. The author recalls the aroma. Aroma means fragrance. Aroma of loaves that filled the air. The children would not even brush their teeth and ate bread bangles made of bread along with the tea. They hardly bother about doing the brush in the morning. Now, importance of bread in traditional ceremony of Goa. This is very important part. The various kinds of breads were very important for all kinds of occasions in the Goa. No marriage was complete until the traditional bowl was served. The lady of the house was prepared sandwiches on the occasion of her daughter's engagements, and bolinas would be prepared for the Christmas and other festivals. That means no celebration, no festival are performed in Goa without the indulgence of the bread. Bread is very important and integral part in the culture of Goa. Now, the baker's dress. The baker was usually dressed in a kabar. This is a dress, which is a long frock reaching down to the knees, or a shirt and a trousers which were shorter than full length ones and longer than half pants. Even today, if anyone dares to go out in the streets wearing half pants, he is referred to as padder. Padder means baker. Bread making. Bread making is really a very profitable profession in Goa. The baker usually collected his bills at the end of the month. All the accounts were written on some wall in the premises with a pencil only. It was a very profitable profession during those days because Portuguese were lovers of fresh baked loaves of bread, and it is believed that the family members and the servants of the bread makers lives very happy and life full of prosperity. Now, next part from the Glimpses of India is Coorg. Coorg. It is considered as a heavenly place, and it is a small district in Karnataka which lies between the towns of Mysore and Mangalore. It is like a heaven on this earth. It is believed that Coorg is like a heaven on this earth. It is inhabited by martial men. What, beta, this is very important question. Which kind of people are living in the Coorg? Martial men, beautiful women, and the wild creatures. Coorg is inhabited by the martial men. They are famous for their martial art. Men are famous for their martial art, and women are famous for their beauty. If we talk about the weather and environment of the Coorg, it is the smallest district of Karnataka. It consists of evergreen forest. Coorg is famous for evergreen forest, spices, and coffee plantation. It is also said that Coorg is a coffee country too. It is also said that. The best season to visit Coorg starts in September and it continues up to March. The weather in Coorg is pleasant during these months. People of Coorg. The people here are possibly of Greek or Arabic descent. According to the legend, if we talk about the legends, Alexander's army moved south along the coast and settled there only when they were unable to return to their country back. They have settled there for some time. These people married among the locals. Now what they had done, they married among the locals, and their culture can be witnessed by their martial tradition, marriages, and religious rites. The Kodavus are known as residents of Coorg. Wear a long black coat with embroidered waist belt known as kupia. It resembles kufia worn by the Arabs and Kurds. If we talk about the bravery tale of Coorg, Coorg people are well known for their bravery. They are very brave people. They are very famous about their bravery and their martial skills. And the Coorg regiment is one of the most decorated regiments of the Indian Army. And the first general of the Indian Army, General Cariappa, was the Coorgi. Wildlife in Coorg. Coorg is a home to a large number of wild animals and birds. Mahasi, a large freshwater fish, is found here in the Coorg. Kingfishers, squirrels, and langurs live without any fear. Wild elephants enjoy being bathed and scrubbed in the river by their mahots. The river Kaveri, which river? River Kaveri, gets its water from the hills of Coorg. Coorg is a wonderful tourist place. Even the laziest tourists become adventurous on coming to Coorg, as it is full of adventure sports like river rafting, canoeing, rock climbing, and so on. The climb to Brahmagiri Hills brings smiles to many faces as one can see the panoramic view of Coorg from there. It is like a picturesque kind of, you can say picturesque, very wonderful views you can see over there in the Coorg. Nature at its best in the Coorg. India's largest Tibetan settlement at Blackuk is inhabited by monks in red. They are clad in the red robes, you can say, or ochre and the yellow robes. There are many more surprising waiting at Coorg if the tourists want to go and discover the beauty. Now, the third part from the glimpses of India is tea from Assam. Rajveer's visit to Assam. Two main characters in this extract, Rajveer and Pranjal. Now, Rajveer and Pranjal are traveling to Assam by train as Pranjal has invited Rajveer to visit his home during the summer vacation. Rajveer is very excited to see the beautiful scenery of green tea plantation outside. Rajveer tells Pranjal that over 80 crore cups of tea are drunk every day throughout the world. Over 80 crore cups of tea have been drunk throughout the world in a single day, a big number. Now, the beautiful tea gardens. Rajveer looks at the scenery outside and he was mesmerized by the beauty of green color beauty. The view from the train was also very panoramic. They are also very beautiful. There was greenery outside all over. The soft green paddy fields gave way to tea bushes. There are certain legends about the discovery of tea. The Chinese legend says that when a few tea leaves accidentally fell into the boiling water. First, we talk about the Chinese legend. It was believed that once upon a time, the emperor, who was in the habit of drinking water, first by boiling it, the emperor tasted and liked it. A ball was placed in the fireplace and the water was boiling. Suddenly, some leaves and twigs fallen into the water, and when the emperor drank that water, he got excited by the taste and he liked the taste. In this way, they believe that those were the tea leaves. And if we talk about the Indian legend, it tells about the Buddhist monk who always cut off his eyelids because he felt sleepy during meditations. 10 tea plants grew out of these eyelids. The leaves of these plants, when put in hot water and drunk, drove away sleep. That means sleep vanished. Chinese, they are the tea lovers. Rajveer told Pranjal that tea was first drunk in China and words like chai and chini are of Chinese origin. From China, it spread to Europe and then to Asia. Earlier, tea was drunk more as a medicine than as a beverage. It is believed that tea was considered more as a medicine than as a beverage. If we talk about the Dhakiabadi tea state, the boys alighted at Ved Junction, Mariani Junction. Soon they were driving towards Dhakiabadi, the tea garden, which was managed by Pranjal's father. Groups of tea pluckers with bamboo baskets on their backs and wearing plastic aprons plucking the newly sprouted leaves, and it could be seen everywhere the beauty of the green leaves. Now, our next is Mijbil the otter. Your favorite one, Mijbil. The author decided to keep an otter. Maxwell. The author decides to keep an otter. The author traveled to southern Iraq in 1956. He decided to keep an otter as his pet dog was died. His native place of living, Camp Safriania, had much water around and otter was suitable for the experiment. He believed that. The author and his friend traveled to Basra. When the author mentioned about his wish to keep an otter as a pet to his friend, he suggested him to take an otter from where? Tigris marshes, as they are quite common there. They were going to Basra to collect their mails, and finally they have received their mail. The author did not receive their mail, his friend has received the mail, and the author was waiting for his mail. Now, the author's mail finally arrives and he gets the otter. The author sent a telegram to England as his mail had not arrived yet. For 3 days, there was no reply. He tried to make a phone call, but due to some problem, he was not able to get through. Finally, after 5 days, his mail arrives. Once his mail arrived, he went to his room to read it. There he saw 2 Arabs with an otter. That means 2 Arabs came along with an otter. They told that it was for him. Strangeness of the otter. The otter changed the life of the author. The otter came onto the tile floor from the sack. Sack means from the bag. At once, it appeared like a small dragon. By first, at a glance with the otter, he thought like it was a dragon. From head to tail, his body was coated with mud. In between the mud, a velvet fur-like creature resembling a chocolate brown mole appeared. There was a lot of dust on his body, and it took around 1 month to remove all the dust from his body. How much time it has been taken to remove all the dust from the body? 1 month about. Now, the narrator now named the otter Midgeville, and by loving call Midge. For the, you can get the question from Midgeville too. You can get the question by the name Midge too. So don't get confused. For the first 24 hours, the otter was neither unfriendly nor friendly. He has a mixed emotion kind of. He was aloof and indifferent. That means stay away from everybody. He kept on sleeping on the floor far away from the bed. The second night, he came onto the author's bed and slept in the crook of his knees. That means now he has started becoming a little bit comfortable. In the day, he kept a keen interest in his surroundings. Now, the otter started taking interest in the surroundings. The author made a body bed for him. The otter liked playing in the water in the bathroom. That means the author, Gavin Maxwell, came to know otters love water too. They love to play in the water. They love to enjoy the water. Midgeville escapes from the one. 2 days later, what had happened? Midgeville suddenly escaped from the author's bedroom. He went to the bathroom. He entered the bathtub and turned the tap on with his toes within minutes. Within no time, he had started. Thus, Midgeville becomes friendly. Within a very lifetime, he became very friendly with the author. He followed the author when he called his name. Now the Midgeville came to know his name too. He spent most of the time in playing. This otter always plays. He loves to play. He played it like a soccer ball. His favorite toys were the marbles. Taking Midgeville back to home. Now the real problem arises for the author. How to transport back. It is the really problem for the author. Now days passed very peacefully at Basra. They were living very contently at Basra. The author had a fear of transporting Midgeville to England and then to Kempsfield. The British Airlines. Problem is, British Airlines not allowed animals to fly in the plane. He booked a flight to Paris and then from there to London. The airlines told him to pack Midgeville in a box. He made a box for Midgeville. He put him inside the box before the flight so that he becomes habitual to it. Then he went to lunch. Now again problem arises. These are the problems which the author faced while transporting Midgeville back. The otter and the box. When the author came back after some time, he was shocked to see a complete silence from the box. Blood was coming out from the air holes. He opened the box. He saw Midge covered with blood. Only 10 minutes were left for the flight and the airport was about 5 miles away. He kept Midge inside the box, held the lid with the hands and moved. Now, the author sat in the car and with the box beside him. The driver drove the car very fastly. Just when the aircraft was about to take off, he was rushed through to it by the angry officials at the airport. Now, again, the problem he has faced, the angry officials of the airport. Now, author in the aircraft, he had booked the front seat for him. He covered the floor around his seat with newspapers. He gave the parcel of fish to the air hostess for the otter. She suggested him to keep the otter on his knees. Actually, this air hostess is a very queen of her kind. She is very humble and a gentle lady. Midgeville goes out of the box. Midge was out of the box at once. He disappeared in the aircraft. There was a woman shouting, "A rat, a rat, a rat," in fear. The author tried to catch the otter, but he failed. The air hostess told him to be seated and said that she would find the otter for him. Very soon, the otter came near the author and climbed on his knee. He started rubbing his face and neck with his nose. Midgeville reaches London. The author remained in London for almost a month. Midge kept on playing with ping pong balls marbles, rubber fruits, terrapin shell that the author had bought from the Tigris marshes. Midge will play outside the house. The author exercised Midge on a lead on the streets. Midge quickly developed certain habits during the walks on the London streets. There was a primary school opposite to the author's house. He would take the author near to the outer wall of it, which was some 2 feet high. He would then gallop onto this. This distracted the students and the staff. The people in London were not able to recognize the otter and made wild guesses. Now, they have not seen the otter before. It is like a new animal for them. So, they started making guesses about the otter. Now, our next chapter is Madam Rides the Bus. It is about Valli. This is a very sensitive story, children, actually. It is of a girl who is of 8 years old, and she is fascinated and her keen desire to have a ride on the bus. Now, 8-year-old girl Valli, it describes her first bus journey into the world outside her village. The outside world is fascinating and bus ride is a mysterious journey for her. She wants to experience this journey alone, all alone. She finds each minute information which has been provided by the neighbors and other travelers too regarding the bus journey, and she had collected the bus fare too. One day she goes on the bus, ride alone and come back with few experiences, and now we are going to dive in those experiences. Let's start. Valli and her pastime. Valli was a girl. She was 8 years old. She wanted to know about new things. Actually, she is very curious by nature. She is having curiosity in her. She had no one to play with her of her own age. So, her favorite pastime was to stand in front of the door of her house. This is her favorite pastime. This always gave her new experiences. The bus that traveled from her street to the town fascinated her the most. This is the fascination of Valli, the bus. She wanted to travel in a bus. Looking at the new passengers every time the bus passed gave an unending joy to Valli. Just by seeing the passengers, she enjoyed a lot. Valli wants to travel in the bus. This is the key and the hardest desire of the Valli. Every day when Valli was the bus, she wanted to travel in the bus. This desire became stronger day by day. It became very strong. Now, what Valli had done, for many days and months, Valli listened to the talks of her neighbors and people who went on to the bus journey. But she had decided to start with the bus journey. So even asked them some questions since they were regular travelers. But she started taking the information from the travelers. This way, she was able to get even the minute details about the bus journey. The fare was 30 paisa for a one way. What it means? She have to collect 60 paisa. And the trip to the town took 45 minutes. Children, this is the important information. That means 30 paisa for a one way. She kept on planning and calculating. She make a plan, she make a replan, she calculate, she recalculate the things for the very long time. Now, actually, to collect 60 paisa for 8-year-old girl is really very tedious. She have to resist herself from the various temptations too. Valli takes the bus. Valli took the bus on a spring afternoon. There were only 6 to 7 passengers in the bus. The bus was new and has very soft and luxurious seats. The conductor was a jolly sort of a person and asked Valli to get seated in the front of the bus. He addressed Valli as Madam. She started looking outside the bus and was attracted the views outside. She could see the canal, the palm trees, the railway path, and all many things she has seen. Valli reaches finally to the town. The bus reached the town. After some time, Wali was on seeing the bright shop and big crowd. This is the new thing for the Wali, that she has first time visited the town. She stayed in the bus while the other passengers got down. The conductor asked her to get down, but she told him that she would go back in the same bus. She refuses the offer of giving a cold drink. The bus conductor was a very jolly and a nice guy. He offered her drink, but Wali refuses. While come to the returning journey, the same wonderful sights during the return journey again excited the Wali. She wasn't bored and she greeted everything with the same excitement, with same enthusiasm which she had felt during the first time. Now what had happened? She saw a young cow lying dead by the roadside. It was the same cow that was running towards the bus when she was going to the town. She was filled with sadness on seeing her. The bus moved on, but the thoughts of the dead cow haunted Wali. She no longer wished to look outside the window. When the bus reached her village, she ran straight for home. Her mother did not get know of her. That means her mother did not came to know about the Wali desire, that what Wali had done, that what act Wali had performed without came into the knowledge of her mother. Now, chapter number 10, the sermon at Benares. The chapter covers the journey of Gautam Buddha from princehood to his saintly life. After seeing the sufferings of the world, he decided to give up all the pleasures of this world, and he started to move out to seek enlightenment. He finally attained salvation under a tree at Bodh Gaya. His first sermon was delivered at Benares near the bank of the holy river Ganges. Kissa Gautami was the first one to receive this sermon. Now, let's talk about the main characters of the chapter, the sermon at Benares. Gautam Buddha is the founder of the Buddhist religion. He was a spiritual teacher who had gained enlightenment after seeing the worldly plains and greeds. Next character is Kissa Gautami. She was a young mother whose only son had died. She was loving and caring mother, but at the same time, she became selfish and wanted to get her son back after the death. Gautam Buddha as a prince, if we talk about Gautam Buddha as a prince, he was born as a prince whose name is Siddhartha Gautama. It is the real name of Gautam Buddha. He was the prince of northern India. At 12, he was sent for schooling in Hindu sacred scriptures. 4 years later, when he returned back to the home and got married to a princess, they had a son. And he enjoyed and lived a royal life for 10 years. Now, Gautam Buddha was protected from all kinds of sufferings of this world. But one day, when he moved out, he saw a sick man, the foresight which shocked Gautam Buddha was. He saw a sick man, an old man, a funeral procession, and a monk who was begging for alms. These 4 sights moved Gautam Buddha, and he then went out to seek enlightenment. Gautam seeks enlightenment and becomes Gautam Buddha. He traveled in. Now, we are just going to read about the Gautam's journey to Gautam Buddha. He traveled aimlessly for 7 years, and then he stayed under a peepal tree until he attained enlightenment. He swore for it. Until he is not going to get the enlightenment, he is not going to move from this place. After 7 days, after how many days? 7 days, he got enlightened and renamed the tree as Bodhi tree. which is considered as tree of wisdom. There he began to teach and share his knowledge and became to known as Buddha all over the world. Buddha gives his first sermon. Gautam Buddha preached his first sermon at the city of Benares. It is the holiest of the dipping places on the river Ganges. This sermon reflects Gautam Buddha's wisdom about the kind of suffering that is impossible to interpret. Now, the life of mortal is troubled, brief and combining pain. It is impossible to avoid death, as the ripe fruits are in danger of falling, as the earthen vessels made by the potter break. Similarly, the mortals have the danger of death. Wise men and fools all fall in the power of death. That means death is the ultimate truth of the life. Death is the universal truth. No one can avoid the death. The one who is born, he have to finish one day. And the fate, ultimate fate of the human being is death only. Only the wise men do not grieve and they accept the reality. All weeping and grieving will bring more pain and sufferings to the body. One who is composed will obtain peace of mind and will be free from all sorrow and be blessed. Now, beta, if we talk about the Kissa Gautami story, I want to give a brief highlight about the Kissa Gautami story. There was a lady whose name was Kissa Gautami. She had only son and her son was died, and she was so attached to her son that she wanted to revive his son back. She was wailing, she was crying. She want her son back in any of the circumstances and in any of the case. She took her dead son in her hand and go here and there to the neighbors too, and she asked for the medicine to get the child revived. But it is impossible. The one who is dead is never going to come back. So Gautam Buddha enlightened her, Gautam Buddha taught her, Gautam Buddha briefed her about the pain and suffering, and he also talked about her that death is the ultimate fate of the human being. Now, chapter 11, the proposal. About the characters, Stephen Stepanovich Shubkov, Natalia, and Ivan Vassilevich. Stephen Stepanovich Shubkov is a landowner and was a father of a young girl named Natalia. Natalia, she is a young girl and she is very fussy kind of girl as well as argumentative too. Ivan Vassilevich Lomov, he is a young man who wishes to marry Natalia. Lomov visits Shubkov. One day, Ivan Vassilevich Lomov visited Stephen Shubkov. Ivan Lomov was dressed in his finery. That means a dress jacket and a white gloves. The two neighbors greet each other. Now, when Shubkov was thinking about what was the Lomov's purpose to visit him, he was thinking about whether the Lomov came for asking the money. Lomov is in a state of excitement, stammering. He asked Shubkov for his daughter Natalia's hand. What Lomov has asked for? He came to propose the daughter of Shubkov, Natalia. Now, Shubkov is very ecstatic. He accepts the proposal and runs out to send Natalia to meet Lomov. He is very confident that his daughter will accept the proposal too. Shubkov was very confident about Natalia. After Shubkov leaves, Lomov thinks to himself, he feels that he needs to decide and not to think too much. Otherwise, he will never get married because Lomov is 35. He is also very excited to get married as early as possible. Natalia, what he feels about the Natalia, that she is having all the qualities of a good wife. She is an excellent housekeeper. She is okay by looks, and the most important, she is well educated. Now, at this point, suddenly Natalia enters into the room. She makes Ivan comfortable and asks after him. Ivan hesitatingly and nervously begins to say where he is there. Instead of getting straight to the point, he started talking about the childhood and the warm relationship between the families and the neighbors. Now, Lomo also points out that they are neighbors to his Oxon meadows. Touch their birchwood. Now, first point where the argument's going to initiate. Natalia interprets him here. She asserts that Oxon Meadows belongs to the Chubkovs and not to Lomovs. The first conflict is Oxon Meadows. Now, Ivan disagrees strongly. Ivan was saying Oxon Meadows are of him and Natalia is saying they are of us. Now, suddenly, from a little argument, it became an intense argument. And thus begins a long argument between Natalia and Ivan about the ownership of Oxon Meadows. They started debating about the ownership of Oxon Meadows. Ivan believes that his grandmother had allowed some peasants of Natalia's great-great-grandfather to settle on the land in exchange for laying bricks of her. Natalia, on the other hand, tells him that Oxon Meadows had always been part of their estate. The argument gets louder and louder, and Natalia threatens to send her movers to Oxon Meadows on the same day. Lomo feels very agitated at his heart. Chubkov on Natalia's side. Now, Natalia asks her father to settle the matter. Chubkov, of course, agrees with his daughter and thus starts a new round of argument here between the two Chubkovs and Lomo. Lomo threatens to take them to the court. Natalia is horrified when she realizes what she had done. She cries out hysterically and tells her father to call Ivan back. Chubkov is alarmed to see his daughter's state. He leaves and sends Lomo back. Natalia greets Lomo affectionately. Abuses and accusation, as they both are very argumentative, again they started with the abuses and accusations on each other. Chubkov in anger abuses his family. Lomo feels his arm going numb, angry and agitated. Lomo stumbles out to the door. Chubkov, calling him a villain, tells Natalia that he cannot believe that this scarecrow had the nerve to propose to Natalia. Now, when Natalia came to know that he came for the proposal, she got very excited. Lomo then tells her that his dog has gone lame. He laments the fact that they paid 125 rubles for him. Natalia feels that the amount was too high. She believes that the dog her father bought for merely 85 rubles is better than Lomo. Lomo disagrees and another long argument started. Chubkov returns as the heated argument is in progress. By now, Lomo feels that his foot is going to sleep. His heart does not feel well either. Chubkov and Natalia continuing arguing with their Lomov. They begin to tease him. Lomov unable to bear it anymore, and suddenly Lomov collapses. Natalia screams. She believes Lomov is dead. Chubkovs look around wildly, shouting for a doctor. In panic, he seizes a glass and brings it Lomov's to mouth. To their surprise, Lomov starts moving. He is not sure where he is. Chubkov tells him that Natalia is willing to marry. He tells his daughter to kiss him in agreement. Lomov is now fully awake when he came to know that Natalia is agreed to get married. He is happy that Natalia has agreed to marry him. Natalia is also very happy, but she is unwilling to lose the argument. She reiterates that her dog Squeezer is better than Lomov's? Yes. Lomov too refuses to give in and insists that Squeezer was worse. As for Shubbob, he wanted to avoid another argument. He quickly shouts for a champion. That means two conflicts are there in the chapter proposal. One is on Oxon Meadows and another one over dogs, Squeezer and Guess. So children, here now I am going to hand over the mic to the next teacher, in which Pooja ma'am is going to tell you about the tenses and the other grammar portion. Till then, all the best.
Good afternoon, everyone. So let's just dive into the world of grammar. Can I have a pen, ma'am? Okay. So let's just talk about first tenses. As you all know that there are three types of tenses. First is present, second is past, and third is future. So what does tenses means? Tenses always tells the time of action, that when we are doing what we are doing when we are doing that thing. So let's just talk about the 12 possible tenses. First is present, second is past, and third is future. So there are the further divisions, which is present indefinite, present continuous, present perfect, and present perfect continuous. So here also we will see the same thing like past indefinite, past continuous, past perfect continuous. And then in future also we saw the four division, which is future indefinite, future continuous, future perfect, and future perfect continuous. So let's just talk about in a detailed manner. First, present in this indefinite. What is the meaning of indefinite? Indefinite is that thing which is going for a in indefinite manner, which means it will go on further and we do not know when it will be ending. And continuous, which means the thing which is going in a very continuing manner. And now this is perfect. So let's just talk about first indefinite in a very detailed manner. In indefinite we always use do and does, okay, and verb, first form of verb. And in present continuous, we use verb first form plus ing. Then present perfect, we use has and have. And in present perfect continuous tense, we always use verb. First we use has and have plus verb first has and have plus been plus verb first form and ing. Okay. So simple present tense. What is simple present tense? Simple present tense is used to describe some kind of habitual action, like you go to school daily, or some kind of permanent states and universal truth. And we use subject plus verb first form and object. Like Mary washes her clothes. Subject is Mary. Verb first form washes her clothes is object. Okay. So let's just talk about the second one, which is present continuous tense. In this, it indicates that the action is incomplete and still in progress. That right now I am teaching you, so this is a continuous form. In this, we use subject, is, MR, verb first form, ing, and object. Let's see the example. Subject is my mother is cooking. Cook is verb and ing, and this is object, food. Okay. Now, present perfect tense. It used to denote an action that has just been completed, which means that I have just completed teaching you present continuous. Subject, has, have, verb third form, and then object. And the example for this is he has. Why we use has? Because this is a singular subject. Now, just finished, which is verb third form, finished, and object is verb. Okay? Now, present perfect continuous tense. It is used to describe an event or an action that has, or condition that has begun in the past and continues till the present. That I have started teaching you like 5 or 10 minutes before, but it's still in a continuous form. So, what is the format? Subject, has, have, been, verb first form, and ing, and then object. So, subject is he, has or have. Why we use has? Because this is also a singular form. Has, been, verb first form, which is play, and then ing in the das, which is object. Okay? Now, let's talk about past. There are 4 types of past also, which is first one is simple past tense. It is used to describe an action, an event, or a condition that occurred in the past, something which has been done in the past. Like, how we use it? Subject, verb second form, and then object. Example for this is, subject is like he, second form is went, to school is object. Okay? Now, past continuous tense, which has been done in the past in the continuous manner, that is past continuous tense. It is used to describe an action ongoing in the past or frequently repeated undesirable activity in the past, which has been done in the past in a continuous manner. So, let's just talk about which first is subject, then was a verb first form, ing, and then object. So, subject is Gauri, and this Gauri is singular, so that is why we are using was. And then wash, and then ing. Wash is verb, ing, and the object is the clothes. Is it clear? Now, the next one is past perfect tense. Why we use this? It is used when an action had already been completed or finished in the past at a particular point of time. At the time we are speaking in the past, that thing has already been completed. So, this has been done with subject, had, verb third form, and then object. So, subject is Suresh. Suresh was a singular, that is why we had used had. Then, finished his job, which is object. Okay? Now, past perfect continuous tense. It expresses an action that had been done in the past in a continuous manner and had been completed at some point of time in the past only. Like, it expresses an action that had been in the progress for a fixed period of time in the past. Like, subject, had, been, verb first form, ing, and an object. Like, Meera is the subject, had been living. Why had? Because it is in a past form. If it is in the present, then we will use has and has or have. Then verb ki first form. Why verb first form? Because it is in a very continuous form. Verb first form, ing, and then object. So, he had been. Why been? Because in a perfect we used to combine by using been. Okay? Been living in the house for 10 years. Now, let's talk about the future. Simple future tense. It expresses an action that will take place at some point of time in the future only. So, in this we use subject, will, shall, verb first form, and then object. Subject is he, will, verb first form, which is still, and object is a lie. Okay? Then future continuous tense, in which we will talk about that it will be done in future and it will be done in a continuous form. So, it expresses an action that will continue to happen in the future. It will be continuing in the continuous form. And in this we use subject, will or shall be plus verb first form, ing and then object. So let's just talk about its example. Subject is he, will be, visit, and then ing, object is me tomorrow. Okay. Now let's talk about future perfect tense. It expresses an action that will have been completed at some point time in the future. That will be have done in the future only. Subject will have, shall form, verb third form and then object. We will either use will or shall. So subject is we will have finished this, verb third form. That is why we have used finished this novel by next month. Okay. Now, future perfect continuous tense. It expresses those actions that will happening till any fixed time in the future. We don't know that how much time it will go on. That will, which means subject will have been, shall have been, verb first form, ing and then object. So let's just talk about its example. Subject is they, will have been, verb first form means play and ing for 2 hours by 5 o'clock, which is the object. Okay. So here we have completed our tense. This is just a glimpse of the what we have learned right now. These are the list of the rules of all these tenses. You can have a look for a while. Okay. Now let's talk about models. What are models? Why do we need this? Models are the helping words that tells about the ability, possibility and probability of a subject to do an action or emphasize the necessity of an action, that why we want to do that thing. So what are the types of models? Will, would, can, could, may, might, shall, should, must, ought to. Here are some of the model verbs. Okay. First talk about can. Can is basically used for showing the ability or permission also. So let's just first talk about the permission. We often use can to ask for or to give permission. Can I take your pen? Can we go to a movie? Can we go for a movie? Can I take Daisy for a walk? So when we ask some kind of permission, we always use can. And the second use is ability. Okay, I can do this. I can do this task. So this is showing your ability. Just say, I can sing one song in Polish. Okay. Next is general truth. When we talk about general things, then we use things which we think are usually but not always true. Fireworks can frighten pets. Okay, it's a general statement. So we use can. Then request. Request in a request form we also may can use. Can I try one? Those cakes look so good. Can I try one? So you are requesting with a person, so you can use can in that. But can is used for a very informal way. If you are talking to your friend, then you can use can. If you are talking to some formal person, then you have to use may, not can. Okay. Now let's first talk about, second we talk about could. What is could? Could is used as the past tense of can. Something which you could do in the past but you cannot do right now. I could swim when I was 10. So we use can when we use as in a past tense. Okay. So she said that she couldn't come. It is also used to politely ask something to do something for. If we want to ask something, we are not using may or can, then we can use could also. It is a very formal also. So could you write a letter for me? Use is also used to something that it is used to show that something or might be happen. I could do it now if you like. If you want to do it right now, I could do it for you. Okay. Now it is also used to suggest something. If we could write a letter to the director, you are suggesting some kind of thing, so you can also use could in it. Okay. Now may. It is very important. It is always used when we are talking in a very formal manner. First of all, we can ask in a very question form like, may I leave the room, please? You are asking from a person who is very much in superior rank with you. Permission, we use may to give or refuse permission. It is quite formal. We have talked about this earlier also. Example, may we use your phone? So you are asking from a person who is very much superior to you. That is why we are using may instead of can. Is it clear? Now, possibility. We use may to refer to the weak possibility in the present or future. And if we are talking about possibility, then may is used for greater possibility, and then might is used for the less kind of possibility. Okay. Now, the economy may go up and down in the next year. We have a very weak possibility that it could happen in the future also. Okay. Wish, example, may all your wish come true. May you live long. Whenever we are wishing something, we always use may. Okay. Now, might. Might is used for the possibility, but it is used for a very weak possibility than may. Okay. So first is we use might most often to refer to the weak possibility. Okay. I might go to Japan for a month to study Japanese. It is very much have a weak kind of a possibility that you'll go. Okay. Now, permission. We also use might to refer to permission, but it is very formal. It is not used very often. Okay. Might I ask your name? Now, we use might as the past form of may in indirect reports. We'll learn about this in the upcoming slides also, that how you use it. Then, that may not be true, she said. She said that may will be converted to might in the indirect reports. Okay. Now, we'll talk about suggestions. We can use might to give advice or to make a suggestion sound more polite or less direct. When we are talking something which is much more polite or we are suggesting something, we can use might. Especially when used together like prefer or want. You might like to try one of your wonderful desserts. Okay? Now, should. Should is basically and most importantly used for advice. When we are advising something, we use should. If we are just advising that person, we are using should. If we want that person to follow that advice, it is a moral compulsion to do that, we use must. Okay? So, we often use should to give advice and make suggestions. You should tell him what you think. We are suggesting something to him. Surprise or regret? We sometimes use should to express surprise or regret about something that happened. Like, I am amazed that he should have done something so stupid. I'm very much amazed that what he has done. Now, should and ought to. You people are always confused about that we should use should or ought to. We use should because they both have a very similar manner, in a similar meaning. Ought to is much more formal and less common than should. If we are not formal, then we should use should. And if we are talking about little bit formal, then you can use ought to. And then if you want to sound very much formal, then you should use may. Okay? So, should is much more common in the negatives and questions than ought to. Whenever we want to talk about something in a negative sense, we always use should, not ought to. Okay? Shall. Shall offers suggestions and advice. It is also used for some kind of advice you are giving to, like shall I or shall we, to make offers and suggestions. Shall I carry your bag? Now, next is command. When we are giving command to somebody, in a very formal context, we use shall to give commands. This door shall be kept closed at all the times. Okay? Now, must. This is very important for the broad perspective. obligation and necessity. I already talked about this, that must express a strong obligation and necessity. Like there must be a minimum of 2 members of the company at the meeting. And the second one which must uses invitation and encouragement. We also use must to express polite invitation or encouragement. When we are inviting someone in a very polite manner, we can use must. You must come. You must come to my school. You must come and see us soon. Note, we don't use must to express obligation in the past. Whenever we are talking about past, you don't use must. We have to use had to. Okay? We don't use predictions about future. If we want to talk about something which is related to future, we always use will instead. Okay? Like, don't worry about accommodation because I found a nice hotel which will be, not must be, suitable for us. Okay? Then we'll talk about predictions. It was something which will be happening in the future. We used to make predictions and to state facts about the future. There will be strong winds tomorrow in the south of the country. And secondly, we use for the desire, choices or preferences. Will is used to show desire, preference, choice or consent. I will accept your offer. Will you please be quiet? Okay. Then capability. The ship will take 300 guests. This bottle will hold 2 liters of wine. So these two are showing what? Capability of a person or capability of a thing. Then we can use will. Then determination or insistence. I will pass my driving test. I will do as you say. When we are determining to do something, I will clear my exam. You are determined to clear your exam. That is also we use will. Okay. Now let's come to next topic. Now we'll talk about reported speech. So what is reported speech? Reported speech is this in which one convey a message said by one or someone else, mostly in the past, something which has been done in the past and now you are reporting to that thing again. The Oxford Learner's Dictionary is defined as a report of what somebody had said earlier and now you are repeating those words. Okay? That does not use their exact words, but we are not using their exact words in a similar manner what the other person had said to us. What is direct speech? There are 2 types of reported speech. One is direct and another is indirect. So what is direct speech? Direct speech is the report of the person using his own words exactly. In this, we are using the exact manner what the person has said. Okay? Direct speech is the repetition of the person's words directly. Is the group of unchanged words presented as with a quotation mark. We always use quotation marks while we are doing the direct speech. Okay. Example, George said, I am very much interested to study English grammar now. Now, what is indirect speech? Indirect speech is the report of what another person had said in the past and you are not using the exact words they have used. And told or asked, we use said, told or asked, we'll talk about this. Indirect speech is the context which is expressed in our own words without any quotation marks. This is very important. You don't have to use quotation marks in the indirect speech. Indirect speech is the conveyance of the statement without changing its meaning. We are conveying the same message, but we are not using the same exact words. Now there are some changes which is in the modal auxiliary. So we'll first see will be changed to would, may, might, can, could, shall, should, has or had. These all are the changes you will do in when you are changing it to the indirect speech. Okay. Changes in pronouns. There are some changes which you have to do in pronoun also, like I, he, she, you, he, she, they, we, they, my, his, her, me, him, her, our, their, your, his, her, their, us, them, myself, himself, herself, ourselves, themselves. These all are the things you have to learn. Okay. Now there are some changes in the verbs also, like is or am will be changed to was, are will be changing to was or were, has or have will be had, and was or were will be had been. Do and does will be changed to did, past form of main verb, and did will be changed to had and past participle. We'll talk about this, how we will change it. There are some changes also in the time and the place, like this will change to those, these, those, it, that, here, there, thus, so, now, then. These all are the changes you have to do. Okay? You can take a glimpse of it and then we'll move to the next slide. The most important is which is today, tomorrow, come, now, here, these are tonight, last night. You have to look for these. Now, there are some changes which has to be done in the tenses also. So, simple present tense will be changed to simple past tense. Okay. Now, continuous, present continuous will be changed to continuous past. We'll talk about in the past manner. Perfect, present perfect will be changed to past perfect. Present perfect continuous will be changed to past perfect continuous. Simple past. Now, what will happen to the simple past? Simple past will be changed to perfect past tense. Okay. Now, continuous past tense will be changed to past perfect continuous. And then past perfect and past perfect continuous, there will be no change in them. Okay. Now, first talk about declarative sentences. Declarative sentences are a kind of sentence which make an informative statement. It declares something directly. So, in this, we are talking about something which is in a declare manner. Okay, like, let's just talk about general rules first. Remove comma and use conjunction that. We use that after while we are changing it. Remove quotation marks. We don't use quotation marks, as I have told you earlier also. Then change pronouns, verbs and adverbs properly. I have shown you the slide also. Change tenses properly. We'll change the tenses also. So let's just talk about example of declarative sentence. First is direct. Beatrice said, I want to go to California tomorrow. So before going to that, I'm going to talk about a thing which is a concept of son. S means subject, object and no change. If there is I or we, which means first person, then we will move to the subject. Okay. If there is object and in this we will move to the object. If there is second person, which is you, then we will move to the object. And if there is third person, which means he, she, they, we will do no change in this. Let's just talk about this. Patrice said I. I is first person, and I have told you earlier also that I will be gone to subject. We'll take this to subject, which is Beatrice. So Beatrice is a girl, then it will be changed to she. Want. Simple present will be changed to simple past. That is why we use wanted. To go to California tomorrow. Tomorrow is changed to the next day. Okay. Adam said to Kelvin, we are going to visit the India next week. So said to is always changed to told. Okay, Calvin, that we is the first person, so it also goes to subject. And Adam, so they are talking about together they are going, so they and were. Why were? Because this is are. We are talking about plural sense, so were going to visit the next week, which means the following week. Okay. Now let's talk about the interrogative sentences. Interrogative sentences is the kind of sentence which asks a direct question. When we ask something, so we use interrogative sentences, and there are two types of interrogative sentences. First one is which begin with helping word, like are, you, have, something like that. So this is the yes or no type of question. And the second type is WH question, which begins with WH word. We'll talk about this too. General rules like remove comma and use conjunction if, your, whether. We'll not use that in this. We'll use if or whether. Okay, but we will always use in this in yes or type question only, not with WH. Okay, remove quotation marks and question marks. Use reported verb asked. We'll use asked in this, not told. Make changes giving like subject, verb, and then object. Change pronouns, verbs, and adverbs properly, and change tenses properly. Now, there are two types which I have told you earlier. First one is which is of helping verb. So, are you going to buy a new shirt today? John said, right. So, said will be changed to asked. Okay, and are, if we are starting with the helping verb, we will not use that. We use if or whether. So, if he or you is second person. I told you that if we are talking about the second person, we go to object. Object is Ralph. So, we'll go to Ralph. He was. Why was? Because he's a singular person. Going to buy a new shirt today will be changed to that day. So this is the type of modal verbs. This is the type of WH family, which means George said to me, where have you gone the day before yesterday? So it will be changed to George asked me. We will not use that if or whether. We will use directly the question. Where have you? You will be changed to why? Oh, sorry. We will go to object, me. So that is why I, okay, had gone to the day before the yesterday will be changed to the previous day. Okay. Now let's just talk about imperative sentences. Imperative sentences are those kind of sentences in which we are offering some kind of advice or giving order, something like that. There are some general rules in this also. We use said or said to. Remove said or said to, we will always use requested, ordered, advised, warned, etc. Okay, we use comma, remove comma and all, quotation marks, change pronouns, which we have done this earlier also. Now let's just talk about this. Alice said to Kelly, give me the ink pen for today. So she's just requesting, you have to see the type of sentence which is. So Alice is some kind of requesting to Kelly. So Alice requested Kelly to give her the ink pen for that day. Me will be going to first person it is, then it will be going to subject, and the subject is a girl, that is why we use her. The ink pen that today will be changed to that day. Okay. The second one is the officer said, clean my room in half an hour. So the officer will be ordering. Okay. So the officer ordered to clean my will be going to officer. So his office in half an hour. Now let's just talk about exclamatory sentences. In this sentence, in which there is some kind of strong emphasis, emotion, feeling or excitement. When we are having a strong outburst of emotions, we are using exclamatory sentences. General use, remove said or said to, we use exclaimed with. Okay? And remove comma and conjunction and all other same. Like Harper said, what a beautiful sight it is. So Harper said will be changed to exclaimed with joy. Why? Because he is happy when while he was telling this. So what a beautiful sight it is will be converted to was a very beautiful sight. So he said that Harper exclaimed with joy that it was a very beautiful sight. Or you can say that what a beautiful sight it was. You can also change like that. Direct. He said, alas. Alas is showing some kind of sorrow. Okay. So, his father is no more. He exclaimed with sorrow that his father was no more. Why is converted to was? Because simple present is converted to simple past. Now, let's just talk about the another topic of today, which is the determiners. A determiner is a word that is used to modify or introduce the noun in a sentence. A determiner need not always to be in the beginning of a sentence. It can be placed in anywhere in the sentence, okay? Now, let's just talk about the type of determiners. First is articles, and you all know about a and the. Then possessive determiners, demonstrative, quantifiers, and distributive. Let's just learn about this in a detailed manner. First is article. So the definite article is the, when we are talking about something which is in a very definite manner, like the sun, the moon, the mountains, the river, the Gangas, the Yamunas, when we are talking about something in a definite manner, we are using the, okay? The moon looks beautiful tonight. And the indefinite articles is a and the. When we are talking about some kind of a person or thing, we use a or an. Okay, so a is used when we use some kind of consonant sound, and an is used when we use some kind of vowel sound. You all know what are vowels? A, E, I, O, U. So there is a, that is why we have used an. So Jesse ate an apple and an orange. Okay. Now demonstrative. There are 4 types of demonstrative determiners. This, that, these, those. When we are talking about singular, then we will use this or that. When we are talking about something in a plural sense, we use these or those. Okay. So this is used as a singular, and when the thing is near me. Like this is a pen. Okay. That is a pen when we are using it in a very far manner. That is used for a far manner. Then these, when we are talking about in a plural sense, which is in nearby. Like these are the pens. Okay, and those, which means those are the books, those are the tables, when we are talking about in a plural sense and in far away object. Now possessive determiners. The possessive determiners are used to show some kind of ownership, like this pen is mine, this coat is mine, this pen is yours, this book is yours. When we are talking about that possession, then we use possessive determiners. It is used to describe ownership or possession. The possessive determiners are mine, your, his, her, its, our, and their. Let's look at its example. Penelope brought her cat to the vet. So her cat is showing the possession of that woman. Distributive determiners. There are 4 types of distributors, like each, every, main 4 types basically. Each, every, either, neither. These are the main. When we are talking about the whole, we use every. When we are talking about individually, we use each one of you. So each one of you have to come tomorrow, which means I am talking about each one individually. And when we are talking about in a group form, we use everyone. Okay. Either we use in when there is 2 choices with us. And this, either you have to come or you have to come. This is a choice of yours. And when we are using neither in which we use neither you have to come and nor you have to come, which means both of these in a negative sentences. Okay. Like each employee was given a raise. Now interrogative. As you all know what when we use interrogative, this is some kind of when we are asking questions about something, like what height is Empire State Building? When we are asking some kind of question, what is your name? Where do you live? These are all kind of interrogative determiners. Okay. Now quantifiers. What are quantifiers? Quantifier are the words which shows that indicate some kind of quantity of a noun. Okay, when we are talking about the quantity of a thing, like all, any, few, less, little, many, much, no, several. There are so many quantifiers in this. For example, there are already several people waiting for a table at this restaurant. Why? Let's just talk about many and much. When we are talking about something in a countable manner, we use many. There are many people. We don't use there are much people. And when we are talking about something which is uncountable, so then we will use much. Like there is much water in the glass. We don't use there is many water in the glass. Okay? Now, numbers. There are two type of numbers, which is cardinal number and ordinal number. When we are talking about something which is quantity of a person or thing, I am close with my 4 siblings. 1, 2, 3, 4, some kind of a numbers you are saying, that is cardinal. If we are talking about the rank, I came first in my class, so that is the ordinal. I think the third man in the lineup is the thief. So he is talking about the order, so this is ordinal. Now let's just talk about subject-verb agreement. As the word suggests, there is some kind of agreement is done between subject and a verb. They said that if subject is singular, verb is always be singular. If the subject is plural, then the verb will always be plural. But there are certain kind of instances when we don't use verb as a plural, whenever also there is some kind of subject in a singular form. Like subject-verb agreement, just like the name suggests, refers to the agreement between the subject and the verb. Now let's just talk about the rule number 1. The use of a singular verb with a singular subject and a plural verb with a plural subject, as I have already taught you about this. Like Rachel spins. Why we use S? Because whenever there is verb, we use S in singular. In noun, we use S in a plural sense. But in verb, if we are using S, then it is a singular. Rachel spends her free time listening to music. Rule number 2, compound subjects combine using the conjunction like and. Whenever we are talking about and, like this is a noun and this is a noun, and it is adjoining by the and. So we are using are, not is, because we are talking about two nouns. Okay, Krish and Radha are on their way to the airport. Now rule number 3, when more than one noun is joined by conjunction or, though there is two type of nouns like mom and dad, but we will use singular verb. Okay, like your mom or dad has to be here in a noun, not have. Why? Because whenever we are using or, we use subject in a we use verb in a singular manner. Okay. Now rule number 4, sentences with pronouns such as anybody, anyone, no one, somebody, someone, everyone, everybody, nobody, we will always use a singular verb. Nobody has understood anything. Okay. Everyone has came to the class. Had came to the class. Rule 5. For sentences using either or, neither or nor, the verb should agree with noun or pronoun that comes just before it. For example, neither Ricky nor Geeta. Whenever we are using either or, neither nor, we are using verb in a singular form. Like is. Neither Ricky nor Geena is here, not are. Whenever we are using either or, neither nor, we are using singular verb. Now rule number 6, like subjects like police, news, scissors, mathematics, whenever we are using these kind of things, we are using the verb as a plural form. Like the police have, because we are talking about the whole police stuff. So the police have been looking for the culprits. Now rule number 7, whenever we are using each or every as a subject, we use verb to be a singular. Like each, we are talking about the individual one, so we are using the singular verb. Each student has passed or has been asked to provide a consent letter. Rule number 8, whenever we are talking about some kind of amount, kilometers, distance, time, and all such sum of money, we use singular verb. Like 1267 kilometers is too long. We use is too long for us to travel in half a day. Now let's just talk about the poetry section. First poetry is Dust of Snow, which is by Robert Frost. So let's just talk about the message which is conveyed in the poetry. The poem Dust of Snow by Robert Frost shows us to appreciate even the smallest thing that we have taken for granted. What happened in the poem? The poet is feeling very much dejected and sad, and he was standing under the hemlock tree when a crow came and perched on a tree and shook some dust of snow on his shoulder, and in that moment he forgot that why he was sad. So even the smallest and insignificant acts by the nature can help us to uplift our moods, make us forget about our problems. The poet also shows that nature is a great healer of wounds and bad moods. Whenever we are in lap of nature, we feel very much happy. Okay? Observing the beauty and serenity of nature can bring peace of mind and also make to appreciate our life better. Now let's just talk about the theme. The theme of this poetry is that even the small and seemingly unimportant events in life can have their own impact on one's mood. Whenever we thought that it is a very insignificant life, something happened in our life that we feel that no, we should not feel like that. We should not feel like that, because even the smallest or seemingly unimportant event in life can have their own impact on one's mood. We feel greater. We feel grateful for the things we have in our life. So this is the poetry. We feel gratitude and morals that the kids should have been able to understand from their young age. But what you should learn from this, that you should appreciate every single movement in your life. Okay, whether it is very much insignificant, because right now you are thinking that it is a very insignificant moment, but then something happen and it will change into a bigger lesson of your life. Okay, now let's talk about the next poetry, which is Fire and Ice, which is again by Robert Frost. So we'll first talk about the theme of this. So in this, the poet is talking about the destructive manner of the fire and the ice. So the destructive power of human desire and the inevitable end of the world can be either brought by fire or by ice. Fire is here symbolic of passion, desire, anger, fury, and the ice is symbolizing hatred, indifference, cold sensitivity towards each other, are the themes of Robert Frost's poem Fire and Ice. The poem examines the possibility that either extreme emotion or total indifference can lead to the end of the world. What is the message that has been conveyed? The Robert Frost poem Fire and Ice serves as a metaphor for how people perceive their desires and animosity. The fire represents burning aspirations, but the ice represents ice, cold, hatred, okay, indifference. And what is fire representing? Fire is representing desire, hatred. Hatred is for ice. Fire is symbolizing desires, passion, fury, anger, okay? It explains how humans will eventually become extinct. It also shows how our passion, lust, desires can cause to injure ourselves, as well as how hate and cold, unfeeling judgment can make us unfeeling towards each other. So this can lead to the destruction of the world. Now let's talk about the third poetry, which is A Tiger in the Zoo, which is done by Leslie Norris. In this poem, we talk about the freedom versus captivity. Like in this poetry, we see that there is a tiger who is locked in a zoo. and he is stalking in his cage. He does not know what he is to do. There is no hope for the freedom for him. So the theme is freedom versus captivity. Freedom is desired by humans and animals alike. The poem shifts between the condition of the tiger, which is in confinement, and the tiger, which is in the forest. Okay, he would have lived in the wild if he were free. He must be terrorizing the whole villagers, or he must be doing something that can create a huge havoc in the outside world if he's out. The poem brings the extreme agony. Agony means anger and hopelessness of the caged tiger. Though he is angry, but he cannot be able to do anything because he is in a locked, concrete cell, and desire for freedom. Now let's just talk about the ball poem, which is by John Berryman. In this poetry, we saw that there's a child who has lost his ball. How? Because it has been merrily jumping and went into the harbor, and he's very much dejected. Then the poet who was looking at from the far behind, he thought that he should go and check, but then he decided that no, I shouldn't say anything because the memories which has connected to that ball could not bring anything back. Okay, if he make him buy another ball also, that memories which was connected to that ball will not gonna come back. And also he will sense the responsibility. If he loves something, then how he should take care of that thing. Okay, and also he will get to know about that if he loses something in his life and how he has to move on in his life. Okay, so the theme is the ball poem has childhood, grief, and the quest for innocence as its themes. The poet expresses speaker's nostalgia for those carefree, innocent days when he or she used to play with a ball, and it explores the theme of mortality. What is the meaning of mortality? That's something which has to die someday, okay? Like we human beings are mortal. And the inevitable loss of youth, unfiltered joy as a result of growing up. When we are growing up, we lose something in the way between, and how we should get and move on with our life, irrespective of the things we have lost. The importance of learning the ways to accept loss and are keep on moving with our lives. So the message of the poem, the ball poem, is that we should get things in our life which has become a part of our life. We feel that we always remain with us. We are feeling attachment with them. Whenever you lose something, whenever you have something which you love, you feel very much attached to that thing. But whenever we thought that something has been lost, we feel like everything has been ended. Everything has been ended in our life. But we should not feel like that. At such a situation, we feel depressed and hopeless. According to the poet, the losing our possessions is the harsh reality of our life, and everyone has to face this harsh reality in their lives. And we cannot get away from it. Hence, we have to face such a difficult time, and we have to move on from that time. Okay? Now, let's just talk about Amanda. This story, this poem is about a young girl who was very much in this, we get to know about Amanda, in which we talk about the childhood innocence. She was very much afraid of her mother. Why? Because her mother is always constantly nagging at her. So she develops certain kind of imaginary attitude or some kind of imaginary situation in her life. Okay, she thinks that she is mermaid or some Rapunzel and all such things. So the theme of this poem is the challenges of maturing. When we are maturing, we face certain kind of emotions in our life. Okay, the poem tells the story of a little girl named Amanda as she faces the difficulties of growing up when we are growing. Her mother expects her to behave responsibly, and she desires to escape from the duties of growing up. She does not want to do all such of things. Her mother is telling her to cut her nails, to sit straight, and all such kind of things, and she is very much angry from her. The poem emphasizes the battle to maintain the freedom and joy of childhood when an adult duties start to take control. Now, what is the message? It gives the clear message that also elders should give some kind of freedom to the child. Okay, it gives us the message that parents should not control their child's behavior to such an extent that they feel suffocated, because too much of restraint can make them frustrated and defiant. Parents should allow their students some kind of freedom or some kind of liberty in their life to develop their own individuality. Children should be nurtured with love and care. Okay. Now the next poetry, which is How to Tell Wild Animals. This is a humorous account in this poetry. The poet described the wild animals in a humorous manner. Okay, so the topic of the distinctive attributes and characteristics of a wild animals and how they differ from domestic animals is the theme of Carolyn Wells' poem How to Tell Wild Animals. This poem jokingly enumerates many ways to distinguish wild animals from domestic ones, highlighting their untamed, independent spirit and their natural habits. What is the message? The message and the moral How to Tell Wild Animals is that how we can identify the Bengal tiger. We can identify the Bengal tiger by his yellow skin and the dark spots on it. Next, an animal would kill us by hugging us tightly his beard. He talks in a very humorous manner that if an animal comes in front of us and he started hugging us, he will kill us in that manner, and that is bear. An inexperienced person can distinguish between, cannot distinguish between hyena and crocodile by watching them. One hyena will be smiling when hyena is spraying you, and the tears in its joy, which is crocodile. Crocodile will show some kind of tears in his eyes. Okay, and how will you differentiate between chameleon and lizard? According to her, chameleon can change its color and can become invisible. If you think that there is something on the tree but you cannot see anything on the tree, then you have seen a chameleon. Okay. Now let's just talk about the next poetry, which is the trees. Message is, Jean Rich uses trees as a metaphor for human beings. So she uses, what she has done, she uses trees as a metaphor for women. Okay, particularly women in a male-dominated society. What we have seen in this poetry is the tree is logged, or you can say for a very longer period of time, it is in a limited space area. Okay, but now it has been moving out into the forest. Okay, so now just talk about with reference to the women, that women are confined in a male-dominated society for a long period of time, but now the time has come that they now shifted to the outside world. Now they will enter into the outside world. Women are in bondage. They were struggling to get free themselves. Similarly, nature is representing the women is struggling to escape itself from the onslaughts of men to destroy it, because what the human beings are doing, they are just destroying the natural habitat. Okay, so the victorious march of the tree is there. Victorious march means that the tree is coming out of the confined space, is showing that there is some kind of hope, not for the trees, not for the nature, but also for the human beings also, can be tamed or subdued by onslaughts and arrogance of man. What is the theme? The theme is a metaphor which compares the tree to women in general. The poet is a feminist. What is feminist? Feminist is the one who fought against the rights for the women. Okay, and highlights the desire for women to be free and go in the open. The trees want to be free themselves from the floor of the house and go in the open forest, which means that the tree has been locked in or confined in a very limited space for a longer period of time, but now it has been working out to go into the forest by breaking the shutters of the window. Okay. So, and the feelings can be felt and heard by the poet. Now, the poem 8, which is Fog by Carl Sandburg. In this poetry, we see that there is a comparison made between the fog and the cat. Like fog comes stealthily. Similarly, cat also comes stealthily and it vanishes in no time. The main theme in the poem is the beauty and mystery of the natural world. Although fog and cats are incredibly different, they are both part ways from the natural world. By comparing the two, the speaker shows they are both inherently beautiful and mysterious. Like a cat would stalk its prey for a longer period of time. What she will do, she sit on her haunches and look for her prey. Similarly, in a similar manner, the fog watches over the city until it decides to move on. Okay, animals and natural phenomena often behave in ways humans can't comprehend, but mystery contributes to the world's beauty. What is the message that has been conveyed? The message, the poem 4 gives the message of change and hope, because change is the integral part of the human life and of the nature also. Everything changes. We see that the city was very much quiet for a longer period of time, and then abruptly what we saw, that fog came and it silently spread over the whole city and then it moves on. Okay, so however soon fog appears and put everything into halt. Halt means stop. And however, it does not remain there forever and finally goes away, because change is the only constant. Now, the poetry 9, which is Tale of Custard the Dragon. In this poetry, we saw that there is a dragon who is very much afraid. But when the time came, he was the one who saved her honor, Belinda, okay, from the pirate. The poem's topic is that everyone has their own unique qualities and should never be judged on the basis of their appearance, okay? Because we always make fun of somebody, but you never know that what that person could do, okay? We should never make fun of somebody based on their behavior, looks, qualities, or flaws, for they are the ones who stand tall and boldly in the face of adversity. Like similarly, we have seen the custard, who was very much afraid. He always wanted for a nice safe cage, but whenever the time occurs when the pirate came into their house, he was the one who stood up and fight against the pirate. Now, the next poetry for N.A. Gregory. In this poetry, the poet talks about the true love. Okay, so in this, there's a conversation between going on with N. Gregory. And in this, we saw that individuals is the subject of William Butler Yeats for N. Gregory. The poem expresses the speaker's adoration for N. Gregory. So why he does that? There's a conversation going on between the poet and the N.A. He talks about if you saw any man who is very much sad just because you have said no to that person when he proposes you, that doesn't mean he loves you. Maybe he's just physically attracted to you. So she said, if the person is attracted to my body or my physical charm, then I will change my color, hair color, or the rampants of my ear. So the rampants of her ear is hair symbolic of her physical beauty. So she's saying that if the person is attracted just to my physical charm, then I will change my hair color. Then he said, then she said that if I will change my color, maybe I can find a true love. So he said in return that if you think that you will find a love like that, I have a text to prove that only the God have the power to love you for yourself alone and not your helper. Which means that only God can love us for our inner beauty and not the person. So the poet emphasizes the notion that individuals are captivated to outer beauty and prepared to alter their own characteristics in order to be like the person whom they are attracted to. The poem also addresses issues of love being superficial. They are just being attracted to the physical charm. Now, what is the message that has been conveyed? True love is never based on physical attributes alone. Okay? And true love is only based on inner beauty of heart, mind, and soul. And who can does this? Only the God have the power to love us. Let's just talk about some poetic devices in a very quick manner. First is simile. Whenever we are comparing one object to another, we use as or like. We have used simile, like a newly discharged patient. Okay. Like next one is metaphor. Metaphor is somewhat similar to simile, but in this we don't use as or like. A metaphor is a figure of speech that describes an object or action in a way that isn't literally true and helps explain an idea or to make a comparison. For example, on pads of velvet white. So here we are comparing the pads of a tiger with the cloth which is of velvet. Okay. Another one is alliteration. What is alliteration? Alliteration means when there is some kind of similar kind of sound at the beginning of adjacent or closely connected words, like locked in a concrete cell. Okay, locked in a concrete cell. So there is similar sound in the beginning of the words. Now repetition. If there is some kind of word that has been repeated again and again, like involve using the same word or some kind of phrase over and over again in a piece of a writing or speech, then it is repetition. Like what is he to do? Another one is personification. So what is personification? Whenever we are giving someone, some inanimate object to human-like quality, like the time is running out. Okay, so the time does not have its leg. Like personification is a figure of speech that is used to attribute human characteristics to show something that is not human. It can use to personify an abstract quality, like merrily bouncing down the street. Here we are talking about the ball, that it has been merrily bouncing and it has gone down the street. Now, oxymoron, in which there are two contradictory words have come together. Like an oxymoron is a figure of speech that combines contradictory words with opposite meanings, like quite rich, bitter, sweet. Enjambment. What is enjambment? Enjambment is a French word which means a striding over. Whenever we are changing the line without any punctuation mark, that is enjambment. For example, all nights the root verb, there is no punctuation mark in there. We are just continuing in the next line. To disengage themselves from the crack in the veranda floor. Similarly, you can see here also, we are not using any kind of punctuations in it. Okay. Then onomatopoeia. What is onomatopoeia? Onomatopoeia is some kind of a word, some kind of a sound word. Okay, like onomatopoeia is a type of a figurative language. It means using or creating words that imitate sound, like boom, splash, buzz, zoom. Okay, and ink said weak. Okay, like the door is making a nice creaking sound. Anaphora. So anaphora is a rhetorical device in which word or expression is repeated at the beginning. In repetition, there is a repetition of the word in the middle also. But in anaphora, there will always be a word which is repeated but at the starting of the sentence. Like no insect hide, no sun bury its feet in the shadow. We have seen that it is in the starting. Now, allusion is a figure of speech in which an object or circumstance or unrelated concept is referred to covertly or indirectly, which means we are relating to something or someone indirectly to something. Like ink, blink, and mustard, they rudely called him Percival. Percival, who was a Percival? Percival was a king. So they are referring to some kind of, another kind of biblical allusion or something like that. So that is allusion whenever we are referring to something else. So that's for today. Now I am handing over the mic to Chavi ma'am.
So it's good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. I welcome all the 10thies to this session. I hope you have been enlightened by Chandni ma'am, Pooja ma'am. They have given you n number of tips and tricks to score good marks in literature, in poetry, in grammar section. So I shoulder this responsibility of teaching you writing skills as well as first write. So before we start with the session, I must tell you something. There must be a lot of nervousness, anxiety, fear, phobia of how to crack the examination. So before starting the examination, take a deep breath, take a deep sigh of relief, read the question paper thoroughly. As ma'am has already told you, lots of instructions of how to attempt good marks in examination. Do not create any type of phobia inside your mind, inside you, that you cannot attempt the paper. You can attempt the paper very nicely, but have faith and confidence in yourself. So here we begin with the writing skills. Now, what does writing skills includes? It includes letter writing and analytical paragraph. Analytical paragraph is very important. Letter writing is very important. So let us discuss what is letter. Writing skills play a crucial role in academic and professional success. Class 10th is a critical stage where students can further refine their writing abilities. By understanding the format, exploring examples, practicing various topics, and engaging in exercises, students will be able to improve their overall writing. Let us have a look at what is letter writing. The CBSE Class 10th English Writing section is an integral part of the CBSE Class 10th English examination. It is designed to assess students' writing skills and their ability to express their thoughts effectively. This session evaluates their understanding of various formats, including letter writing. Students learn to write both formal and informal letters. Now, when we talk about class 10, you have formal letters. Let us talk about formal letters. Formal letters follow a specific format and require a polite and respectful tone. Why are formal letters written? Now, before writing the letter, let us understand why are formal letters written. Letters written to institutions, firms, public authorities, the editor, school authorities, etc. Now, what kind of letters are formal letters? They are letters using formal language and in a precise manner. The purpose of formal letters can be to ask for information, to apply for a job. This is not included in your course because you don't have to apply for a job. Take inquiries and register complaints. Writing section. This is all is included in writing section, your analytical paragraph and formal letters. Write a letter. Let us have an example. Look at the example. Write a letter to the editor based on given situation in 100 to 120 words. So what is the word limit? You cannot exceed the word limit. Even if you exceed the word limit, what will happen? Your marks will not be deducted. But the formal letters are written in a very precise manner. So be very courteous in writing formal letters and accede to the word limit. Do not exceed the word limit. Just stick to the deadline, that is 100 to 120 words. 1 out of 2 questions is to be answered. Then comes analytical paragraph question. How it appears in the board examination. Write an analytical paragraph in 100 to 120 words on a map, chart, graph, cues. What is cue? To understand what is cues, they are clues. Some hints are given. You have to read those hints and then write an analytical paragraph. That has to be your analysis related to anything given in the question. Types of letters. Now we'll deeply understand the types of letters. First is letter to the editor, letter of placing order, letter of complaint, and letter of inquiry. Placing order, complaint, and inquiry. This is very important. This is very important. This is very important. Complement is also very important, but the three letters that are most important are these three. Let us have a look further. Now, before we start with the letter or before we start with an analytical paragraph, there is some format to be followed. What is the importance of format? Let us read out. Having a proper format in writing ensures coherence and organization. It allows readers to follow the ideas easily and enhances the overall readability of the piece. The key elements of a well-structured format includes an introduction, body, paragraphs and a conclusion. Now, this is to be kept in mind while writing the format. Introduction, that is beginning, then body, the content and the conclusion. That is complementary close. So, starting, that is intro. Then comes body, that is content. Then is conclusion, that is complementary close. Next, structure. The introduction should grab the reader's attention and provide a thesis statement or main idea. So whenever you are writing anything, be it letter, be it analytical paragraph, what should the introduction be all about? It should simply grab the reader's attention and provide a clear gist of what you want to express. And the body paragraphs should present supporting evidence, arguments. If you are writing anything, you should present evidences or arguments that are strictly connected to the main idea, to the question. Okay. Suppose if you are writing a letter of any problem that occurs in your society. Okay. So what should be there? An evidence should be there, an argument should be there related to that. But that should be in a separate paragraph. The conclusion should at the end restate the essential ideas and leave a lasting impression. When you end your letter, you should give a lasting impression. I mean, you should be precisely clear in what you want to express and how you want to express. Let us discuss the format of the letter writing. Format that carries 1 mark, that includes sender's address, that date, receiver's address, subject, opening and closing. This all is included in your format. Got it? Then is content. It is very important. That is the body of your letter. That carries 2 marks. Expression again carries 2 marks. Now when we are going for evaluation in the board examination, now this format has been changed, a little bit modified, like format, content, organization of ideas, and accuracy. Then is expression that carries spellings, grammar, and organization of ideas. Format. Sender's address. Now what is sender's address? Often you people get confused in writing formal letters. So when you start with, the first thing to be written is sender's address. Who is sender? If I send a letter to somebody, then who is that somebody? That is the person who is sending the letter. Okay. Then leave a space. You often get confused as to what is to be written after this. Leave some space. Leave some space. Then again, you have to write the date. Now, what is to be written over here? 26 February 2024. Then comes again some space. Then comes the receiver address. Who is the receiver here? The one who is receiving your letter. Okay. Then again give some space. Then comes subject. Now what is subject all about? It's all about your concern. Kya concern hai aapka? What is the concern that you are raising through your letter? It should be very precise and clear and up to the mark. It should not be very lengthy. It should be in a small sentence, a short sentence, or you can say some sentences. Then again leave some space. Then comes the salutation. What is salutation? Before you start, when you greet somebody, you usually say, hi, hello. Here you are writing the letter to the editor. So what are you doing? You are talking to a person on a senior post. So you are going to write sir or madam as salutation. Then again, give some space. Then comes, let us discuss everything in detail. Now, sender's address I've already told you. Then no names, just the name mentioned in the question. Whatever name is mentioned in the question, that you have to write. If no sender's address is given, then what will you write? You will write examination hall and city. This will only be written only when you are not getting any address of the sender. Then comes some space. Then comes the date. See, do not write this. Okay, write the date which is there. Do not use any th, any slash, any dash, nothing sort of that kind. Just write simple date. Then comes up space, receiver's address. What will come in the receiver's address? Name, the post and the address. The editor, the director, whomsoever you are writing the letter to. Then again some space, then subject, then again space and salutation. Content. This includes 3 paragraphs. Paragraph 1 that includes introduction. Paragraph 2 that defines the problem. Paragraph 3 is a conclusion. So paragraph 1, let us discuss it deeply. It refers to the introduction. Through the columns of your esteemed newspaper, I would like to draw your attention towards. Now, what is this line? This line is extremely very important. Okay. Just make a medicine, drink it before going to the paper if you are thinking of writing a letter to the editor. This starting is very important. This ending is very important. Okay. And whenever you are writing addressing editor, you will start the letter like this and end the letter with this statement. So through the columns of your esteemed newspaper, I would like to draw your attention towards. Here what will you write? The problem. Then comes paragraph 2. You have to define the problem deeply, write about the main reason, specify 2 or 3 effects and provide some solution. You have to write the problem plus solution. You don't have to, vomit everything to the editor. You have to write your problem, then you have to write the solution for it. Paragraph 3 includes conclusion. Then what will you write as conclusion? I hope this article would find some space in your reputed. Some students have a habit of writing reputed. This is not to be done. This is wrong. Write the correct spelling. Okay. Write the spelling reputed newspaper to sensitize. What is the meaning of this word? Create awareness. Understood? So you are sensitizing the higher authorities. So sensitize the authorities and work as an alarm towards taking any decision or taking some necessary actions. Now let us have a look. I have already told you about the format. Let us read an example of letter to the editor. Here's a question for you. Write a letter to the editor, The Times of India, Delhi, expressing your concern over the increase of road accidents, rash driving and overcrowded road transport. You are Priyanshu, living in Awas Vikas, Mayur Vihar, New Delhi. This is the question that will come across. Let us have a look at the solution. Sir, through the columns of your esteemed newspaper, I would like to draw your attention towards the problem of increasing rate of road accidents, rash driving and overcrowded road transport in our city. Again, what is to be followed? This format is to be followed in the starting. Sender's address, space, date, space, receiver's address, space, subject, salutation, and then you'll begin with your letter. Reckless driving and ignoring rules are the primary causes leading to severe injuries and loss of life. Now, first of all, you have told about the problem. Okay? This can be your subject. Then you will mention the problem, what is it all about, and what can be the solution. Reckless driving and ignoring traffic rules are the primary causes leading to severe injuries and loss of life. Overcrowded public transport. Now you have mentioned the problem. Then you are telling about the results, the consequences that people are bearing after that problem is happening in your society. Reckless driving and ignoring traffic rules are the primary causes leading to severe injuries and loss of life. Overcrowded public transport further adds to the problem. Increasing road accidents. Moreover, road accidents often result in significant financial burdens for individuals and families, including medical expenses, property damage, and livelihood due to disability or death of an earning hand. Now, what is the result? Death of an earning hand. The whole soul of the family dies, or he has some disability after facing an accident, and then it affects his livelihood. Accidents make the road crowded and cause traffic jams, leading to other problems. Enforcing traffic rules, stricter penalties, and enhancing public awareness on road safety can solve this problem. Now, what can you do? You have already mentioned your problem. You are giving a solution to the problem also. What can be done? What can be done? Enforcing traffic rules. You should impose traffic rules. Penalties. People should be penalized. Those who are creating problem on the roads. And public awareness on road safeties can be told to the people. Only then this problem can be solved. An urgent action on this matter can resolve this serious problem and aware people. I hope this article would find some space in your reputed newspaper to sensitize authorities and work as an alarm towards taking drastic actions. I hope this is clear to everyone. Now, this is finished. Letter to the editor. Let us talk about letter of placing order. What is letter of placing order? Let us read out. Order letters are written to assign for orders for goods or items. If you want to place some order through any company, through any stationery, through anywhere, you are supposed to write order letters. They are written in a very specific manner. They are quite common and are written on a daily basis. The language of the letter is very formal. As usual, you should be very careful to impart complete and accurate information, because incomplete information may lead in delayed deliveries. If you do not mention everything properly, it can be resulted in a delayed delivery, or delivery will not be sent in time. Moreover, these letters are to be written to the point only. Now, let us have a look at the format. The format of placing an order letter class 10th format is similar of that to a formal letter. It consists of the following components. It is similar to that of a formal letter, just like formal, because you will find formal letters in class 10. You will not find informal letter in class 10. So everything is formal. You are writing to some higher authority for asking for anything. For placing an order, here also you are writing to somebody. So it consists the following components. Sender's address. The school letter starts with the sender address, which includes the name, address, contact details of the person writing the letter. Sender's address is usually placed in the top left-hand corner of the page, where you will start your work with from the left-hand side. Date on which the letter is written is mentioned just below the sender's address. Receiver's address. The next component is the receiver's address, which includes the name, address, contact of the supplier of the vendor. Receiver's address is usually placed below the date and is aligned to the left. Salutation, then comes the salutation. This is the greeting that is used to address the receiver of the letter. The salutation is usually, dear sir, madam, or to whom it may concern. Now, do not write respected. It is already aware that you are writing to some higher authority, so mention this. Even if you are writing this, it is not be considered as wrong, but even then, just follow the format. And please adhere to the sample papers of CBSE, because whatever format is given in the CBSE sample papers, that is accurate. To whom it may concern, then comes the body of the letter. This is the main part of the letter, where the sender communicates the requirements to the supplier vendor. The body of the letter should be clear, concise, and to the point, and should include the following details. Let us have the look at the details. Then comes the description of the goods or services required, whatever you are ordering. The sender should provide a detailed description of the goods or services that they require, including all the quantity of the specification. It should be clearly specified what you want to order and in which number. Price and payment terms. The sender should mention the price of the goods or services and the payment terms that they are willing to accept. Now here you can draw a table. It gives a good impression. Whatever you are ordering should be mentioned in the form of table. Only then the examiner is going to be impressed. Otherwise, you may lose your marks. Then comes how you are going to do the payment. The sender should mention the price of the goods or services and the payment terms that they are willing to accept. By cash, by check, by demand draft, whatever may be the mode of payment. Then comes the delivery details. The sender should specify the delivery details, including the date and the mode of transportation, how they will send it. Then comes the closing. In the closing paragraph, what is going to come? Sender should express their appreciation of the suppliers or vendors' cooperation and indicate their willingness to place an order in the future also. Next, we have an example. A question is given. You are Padam, office in charge as Vayu Sena School. At Vayu Sena School, Sant Colony, Vishakhapatnam. Place an order of stationery items for the school office to Modern Store, New Market, Vishakhapatnam. Here comes the address. Vayu Sena School, Sant Colony. When you are writing the address, do not leave any line. After that, you can leave some space. Then comes the date. Then comes receiver's address. Then subject salutation as usual. Then comes the list of articles. What is to be ordered? It can be in the form of a table, list of articles and number of items. White paper, 10 reams are required. Blue pens, how many boxes are required? White chalk stick, 12 gross is required. Carbon paper, 12 boxes are required. You have written your requirement, whatever is required for your office. Then we want you to provide with this estimate of the prices. What is estimate? The quantity or the price value. I want to give an estimate, a clear outlook of what I want, including sales tax and other fees for the supply of the aforementioned items. Aforementioned, whatever you have mentioned. Please do not hesitate to use good phrases, good vocabulary. Okay, stop using slang and do not use bad words. That comes in the slang only. Use good phrases, good vocabulary that creates a long-lasting impression on the examiner. Send of the above mentioned items no later than August 26 between 10 to 1. You've already mentioned at what time, what date do you want the requirement at the mentioned address. Then comes thanking you. Yours faithfully, you have written the name. Boys are supposed to write male name. Girls are supposed to write the female names. Then comes a letter of inquiry, again a very important letter. It is written, why are letter of inquiry written? It is written to inquire about products, courses, services. Suppose you want to avail any service, you want to know about any product, you want to avail admission, take admission in some course. This kind of letter is written. You will take an inquiry. Taking, seeking, info. Now, inquiring about the procedure for taking admission in a course institution. Asking for information about public, private schemes. Inquiring about tourism from any company. Example is given. You are Anshul, Anchika. Boys will write this name. Girls will write this name. Anshika, a student of class 10th and resident of 56 Ring Road, New Delhi, and wants to be a choreographer. Write a letter to the director, National Institute of Choreography, Noida, seeking information about the course, admission procedure, eligibility criteria, and other necessary details. Let us have a look at the format. We've already discussed 56D Ring Road, New Delhi. Date, I have written this date only because it's very important. The director, National Institute of Choreography, Noida, receiver's address. Example, this is the solution. Sir, I trust this letter finds you in good health. Do not start with this. When you want to write an inquiry letter, you are not supposed to start like this. Letter of editor, I've already told you how to start. And when you are starting with this kind of letter, letter of inquiry, you will start from this. I am a student of class 10th and writing to inquire about the courses offered at National Institute of Choreography in Noida, and I am keen to pursue, what is pursue? To start as a career as a choreographer. I am particularly interested about knowing about the different courses available, including their duration and time, any other specialized area of focus. Additionally, I would like to understand the admission procedure, eligibility criteria, and any other procedure of applying at the institute. I'm eager to gather as much as information to avail to seek opportunities offered at your esteemed institute, reputed. Use these kind of good words. Also give me details regarding faculty expertise and other facilities so that I can register. Your prompt response in this matter will be appreciated. Now, when you end your letter, write the name which is given in the letter. Then comes letter of complaint. What are letters of complaint? When you want to register a complaint, make a complaint to somebody. Complaint letters are written to the concerned authorities when you're not satisfied with something, with some service, with some goods, and you have a problem that needs to be addressed. What is complaint letter? Let us read about. Complaint letter is a type of formal letter. It is also included in letter of formal letter. Again, is written to address any type of wrongdoing, offense, grievance, or anger, and arises from a product. You bought some AC, you purchased some AC that had a malfunction and it was not up to the mark. So for that you will make a complaint to the owner, and that arises from a product, service, or any other resources. There could be a variety of reasons for submitting a complaint letter, including potholed roads, hospitals that do not provide enough medical care to the patients, officials accepting bribe, numerous other flaws in the system. These all are problems or complaints that are prevailing in the society. So you can mention everything and file or register a complaint to the concerned authority. Every citizen has the right to speak about against these violations by sending a complaint letter and bringing these matters to the attention of the appropriate departments. What a complaint letter is designed solely to anticipate rectification for a certain subject. You want some rectification, the solution of your problem for a certain subject. However, if the authorities appear to be unresponsive, the individual has the right to file additional lawsuits. You can further proceed. You can further file the complaint to any other senior authority if your complaint is not solved. Now, let us have a look at the example. Writing a complaint letter is essential then when you are dissatisfied with the service or needs to address a problem. Again, some description is written. Let us read out. Writing a complaint letter is essential. It is very important, especially when you're not satisfied with the service or you need to address a problem. Now, step-by-step guidelines to write an effective complaint letter. Format: begin with the sender's address, your address, include the date, then receiver address, the authority or organization you are addressing. Write the subject of that, briefly summarize the issue. Use a polite salutation even if you are very annoyed with the higher authorities, even if you are dissatisfied, then also you have to be very polite. Sir or madam, in the body of the letter, explain the reason for your complaint. Let us have a look at the example. Here is an example of a complaint letter regarding poor maintenance of a garden and improper waste disposal. Letter has been given, sender address, then complete this pin code if it is given, then write, or you can write your own pin code. The date is written, to whomsoever you are writing, okay? Then comes the subject, complaint letter regarding the poor maintenance of the garden and improper waste disposal. So, additionally, waste disposal, you have given the starting. I think it's not visible completely. Additionally, this is the further one, the introduction. You will mention the problem, whatever is happening, matlab you are not dissatisfied with this, the given question, then additionally, waste disposal has become a growing issue. The garbage collection from our area has stopped for more than a week, leading to waste accumulation. People are now dumping garbage. You will mention the problem in the starting as to what is happening in your society. People are dumping their wastes into the pits, and what is happening after the things are being disposed like that only, then what are the consequences that people are facing? It has become a growing issue. The garbage collection from our area has stopped for more than a week, leading to waste accumulation. People are now dumping garbage in street corners due to lack of alternatives, because people are not getting proper space, so they are just dumping the garbage here and there. I request urgent action to address these issues and improve the living conditions in our community. Then thanking you, you will write your name. Now, what are the points to ponder upon? Remember to be clear, concise, and respectful in your complaint letter. Provide relevant details, evidence, and express your concern while requesting a prompt resolution. Now, whatever you are writing as a letter, remember to be very clear, remember to be very concise, and be respectful in your tone. Do not be impolite. Provide evidence, express your concerns in detail, and request for a prompt resolution. That is the prompt result, or problem should be solved quickly. You have to tell that, but in a very respectful and polite tone. Now, first part is done. All the letters are done. Now we'll start with analytical paragraph, a very crucial part which you think is very difficult, but not, it is not difficult, such difficult as you write essay. You've been writing descriptive paragraphs in class 9, just like that only you write analytical paragraph. That is divided into 3 categories, 3 parts. Now, how does the question appears in the examination? Write an analytical paragraph in 100 to 120 words on a map, chart, graph, cues. Again, some clues, some hints are given. 1 out of 2 questions is to be answered. What is analytical paragraph? It's a paragraph that is a form of descriptive writing, and it is used to test the analytical skills of students by providing them with a hypothetical chart, graph. A chart is given, graph is given, table is given, data is given. It requires an in-depth, comprehensive analysis of the given data. CBSE introduced the concept of analytical passage in the writing section so as to enhance the analytical and reasoning skills of the child. The motive to write analytical paragraphs is to analyze and explain a text of and then describe it in detail. Some useful phrases that are to be kept in mind while writing analytical paragraph. The given above chart describes, the line graph presents, the data here depicts, the statement expresses, highlights. The examiner will be totally impressed if you use these words. Okay, just do not be very simple. Highlight your paragraph with these type of phrases. The given table suggests, the report provided here shows, the given data provides information about, a pie chart illustrates, a thorough illusion of the data indicates. Illustration, sorry. It is illustration. Now how to write the paragraph. Now look for the differences, large differences. We mentioned, I'll tell you as to how many percentage you divide the category into and what do you write. Is it a small proportion, a large proportion? What are the phrases to be used for that? Look for the large differences. We mentioned the aspect which is smallest or largest in the data given. Suppose a table is given, okay, from years say 2002 to 2020, a kind of table is given or graph is given or anything is given. So how do you mention it? We mention the aspect which is smallest or largest. You start with the smallest and reach to the largest. So mention and start like that. Any aspect that is similar should be mentioned. Whatever is similar to that, you mention that. Then is mention about the aspect that has remained unchanged or constant. If it is not changed, if it is remaining constant, it has no change, then also mention that. Only then you would be able to differentiate between the data, given the data. Throughout, use different ways or say a particular thing. Then for fractions, what is to be used? For fractions, for proportions. 4% is a tiny fraction, 24% is almost a quarter, 25% almost a quarter, 26% roughly 1/4, 49% around a half, just under a half. What proportions, what will you use? A tiny proportion for 4%, or you can write a significant proportion for that. 16%, a small proportion. How to write a good analytical paragraph? How do you write a good analytical paragraph? Let us have a look. I have already told you to use the phrases. Now, if there is increase in the graph, if there is decrease in the graph, if there is steady flat, there is no change, then what should you write? An upward trend, a rise, increase, growth, and jump. You can use these words. For decrease, downward trend, fall, decrease, decline, drop. These are the words that can be used. For steady flat, if there is no change, steadiness, plateau, no change, flat. Words to be used. Other words that can be used, your examiner will be impressed like anything. Now, what is the format of this? This is content. This is organization of ideas. And this is accuracy. Analysis. The way you analyze your complete analytical paragraph. So words to be used are approximately, roughly, almost, about, around, more or less, just over, just under, a little more than. Key points of writing analytical paragraph. Now, there are some key characteristics of writing analytical paragraph. It should be brief, around 120 to 150 words. It should be precise and well directed, up to the mark. Clear and crisp language should be implemented. The entire paragraph should be written using a single tense. Personal opinions should not be included in the paragraph. As I already told you, when you are writing a letter, even if you are very annoyed with somebody, you cannot express it. Here also, personal opinions are not to be written. It should be clearly portrayed and stated the facts, whatever are there, whatever evidences are there, whatever facts are there, mention it as it is given in the question. Types of analytical paragraphs which you write. Data oriented, that can be, some data can be given. Here, class 10 students would be required to carefully comprehend and analyze the information that is presented in the form of graph, pie chart, or a table. The students would do the comparative analysis and draw a conclusion. What is analysis? You analyze it. Okay, then I'll draw a conclusion from it. That is closing. Map oriented, some map can be given to you. Here are two maps with considerable differences would be provided. One has to be meticulously analyze the variations, finally summarize them in the form of a paragraph. You have to analyze, differentiate, and write your judgment based on it. Then is information. Some information is given to related to any student, any school, or any other institution. This revolves around comprehending and processing of the provided information. That is problem oriented. A problem would be given, it would be depicted, and students would be required to think rationally and suggest some solution based on some logic backed by the data. Process description oriented. This includes information which is given in the form of a flowchart, diagram, infographic. Again, student has to analyze it and write it in his own words. Now let us discuss the format of analytical paragraph. Content should be well summarized, it should be divided into 3 segments, as I already told you in the starting. Intro, body, conclusion. Just you write story writing, no? In 3 categories, divided into 3 segments, then only you will be able to write a precise and crispy analytical paragraph. that includes introduction. This should be well direct. Explain briefly the principal content that is highlighted in the graph or table. This is the starting. It should be not more than 2 or 3 lines. This depicts your starting. Then comes the body, focuses on the key areas. You have to express in detail. Like you do in the letter, same you do it in the analytical paragraph. And it is given in the question asked by CBSE. It clearly portrays the significance of the graph. The following requirements should be covered as a part of the body. Well presented, sub-paragraph breaking the body, facilitates comprehension for the reader. Understand what is body, the content, not human body. Use simple and clear language. Explain the graph diagram in detail. It has to be in detail. Then is highlight the comparison and variations observed. You have reading the paragraph. Just you highlight the comparison. Then variations, differentiations. Now, what is the conclusion of analytical paragraph? It should cover the entire summary of the given chart, graph or diagram. This is the conclusion. Summarize. When you summarize it. C plus OOI plus A. It should be concluding in nature. I mean, this is the closing paragraph. The closing paragraph, when you end your session in the analytical paragraph, it should cover the entire summary. It should be linked up, starting, ending. Starting, you mention the intro, and ending, mention it with a message. Only then, if as an examiner I am checking any copy, I am evaluating any copy, I would be very happy if you write the complete intro, the complete body, summarize it nicely, plus give the conclusion, leaving a message. I hope you've understood formal letters and analytical paragraph. Now, there are some points. You have learned how to write analytical paragraph, but what makes analytical paragraph very good? Let us read and find out how to write an analytical paragraph. The perfect way of writing an analytical paragraph in the English class 10 CBSE examination is to primarily select the key information, organize it systematically, state facts accurately, well summarize the paragraph, and keep the points in mind for scoring well. Carefully analyze the information. Try to comprehend the literal and surface meaning of the data given. First, try to find out the information. Try to find the meaning of the data given. Facts and data should be accurate. I already told you they should be accurate. You cannot add on anything to your wish. Follow sequential and logical pattern while writing the content. Simple and lucid language. It should not be slang. To depict the comparisons, variations, and withdraw the conclusion, implement functional language. Let us have a look at the example. You asked people what they thought was the most valuable thing. The given pie chart shows the analytics of the different answers you received. Write an analytical paragraph on the research project based on this pie chart. 20% how much, what they want, 48% people what they want, 6% people what they want, 18% what they prefer, and 8% what they prefer. Now this is a pie chart given on people. Now you've understood the question. Now you've read the question carefully. Now this is the solution to the question. The given pie chart displays the analytics of different answers to the question of what people thought the most valuable thing in the world. What do they prefer? 20% feel this much, 48% feel this much. They give preference to the knowledge, 6% to power, 18% to money, and 8% to fame. Now summarize it in your own words. Valuable thing. Pie chart is divided into 5 sections, meaning that the total number of responses to this question were 5. As you can have a look, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. In totality, 5 things are given. Now let us summarize it. This pie chart shows that the majority of people think knowledge to be the most valuable thing to possess. Knowledge holds 48% of the pie chart, which indicates that almost half of the responses said that knowledge is the most valuable thing. On the other hand, power is the most valuable possession according to the minority of the respondents. Fame is almost on the same level and power only 2% more. Love and money hold 20 and 18% of the pie chart respectively. So we've already mentioned everything as to which percentage people want to possess knowledge, power, fame, love and money. We have added on all the 5 things, necessary 5 things that were given to us in the pie chart. Understood? Now, sample question. This is very easy. This can be done very easily because a pie chart is given to you. You are told to write analytical paragraph on it. But the question arises, the problem arises when you are asked to write your opinion and you do not know what to write, how to start with. So how will you write that? Read the following excerpt. A small part is given from an online post of website on educational practices. Kids who appreciate how much effort, time and care goes into growing food will understand and how important farmers are and why it's important to take care of our earth. In the world of today, gardening needs to be given more importance than sports, music and dance in all schools because it creates environment and enhances outdoor things. Now, reading out the question, it's not visible completely. Okay, let us have a look at the solution. Write a paragraph. This is a question given. You have to form your opinion and write analytical paragraph on it. Write a paragraph in 100 to 120 words to analyze the given argument. You could think about what alternative explanations might weaken the given conclusion and include rational evidence that would strengthen, counter the given argument. This is to be done in. It comprises of 5 marks. Solution. I have written the solution for the statement and against the statement. The people who favor it and the people who do not favor it. I have written answer for both the opinions. For argument for the subject of the statement. In the world of today, gardening needs to be done more importance than sports, music and dance in all schools. While sports, music and dance contribute towards personal growth, the current times mandate attention towards an issue that is global, nature and natural processes. With growing food wastage in many homes today and the urban young believing that vegetables are grown, harvested at the supermarkets, the efforts of the farmers are discredited. Gardening at school will open a world on first-hand learning experiences of sowing, watering and harvesting processes. Waiting for the saplings to grow will inculcate sensitivity, patience, empathy, gratitude and value for one's hard work. They will feel accountable for their piece of Mother Earth and resulting in making them efficient and enterprising. Much thanks to it. I have written the solution against the topic. Argument against the subject of the statement. Gardening certainly should not be given precedence over sports, music and dance in all schools. Gardening at school requires good planning with hands on guidance and continued supervision by the teachers. Students tend to lose interest to the slow and natural growth, progress of plants as well as the investment of continuous hard work. Small targets of goals would be missing, whereas the danger of destruction of the work due to rains, intrusion of grazing animals or a pest attack is like to set in a feeling of defeat. It may display faster results, are enjoyable and inculcate team spirit, collaboration and confidence. Unlike gardening, setbacks in these activities can be addressed with some sense of personal control. Now let us talk about, we've already discussed analytical paragraph, letter, formal letters. Let us discuss what is there in the literature section. I have been given the responsibility of footprints without feet, which is your supplementary reader. First part is already done, grammar is already done, reading section is already done. So here I begin with footprints without feet. Now let us talk about the literature portion that comprises of 2 things, 2 books. First slide, your main reader, footprints without feet. This is already done. I'll start with this. Let us have a glimpse of your supplementary book, Footprints Without Feet. Students, you will have 3 short questions, out of which 2 have to be done. Then again you will be given 2 long questions. Again you have to solve one. long question. Now let us have a look at the chapter. Triumph of surgery, thief's story, midnight visitor, question of trust, footprints without feet, making of a scientist, necklace, Bholi, book saved the earth. These all are the chapters of your supplementary reader. Now let us have a look at the tips and tricks to remember the names of the chapter along with the authors. A triumph of surgery, we have created some short tricks to make you learn the chapters and the name of the authors precisely so that you will not forget them, because you will get the name of the chapters in the board examination. Not to worry for that, but remembering names of the authors is quite difficult. So here I have prepared some tricks to you to remember the names of the authors as well. A triumph of surgery, surgeon of Tricky, that is James. Thief story, Hari Singh, Anil, they had a bond. It is written by Ruskin Bond. Question of trust, two cunning thieves, Victor Canning. Midnight visitor, midnight is when the thieves rob, that is Robert Arthur. Footprints without feet, feet of invisible man, H.G. Wells. Making of a scientist, story of Richard, Robert, it is rhyming, Robert Peterson. Necklace, story of three guys, Guy de Maupassant. Bholi, Bholi Ka Appa Ramlal, written by K.A. Abbas. The book that saved the earth, Claire Boyko. Let us have a look at the short revision of the chapters of Footprints Without Feet. A Triumph of Surgery is the first chapter that includes the main characters, Mrs. Pumphrey, Tricky, a beast dog, James Harriot, veterinary surgeon. Tricky is a dog which becomes very fat. What is the theme? Too much indulgence. When you love somebody, like parents love their children excessively, that leads to harmful effects. This is told in the chapter. Indulgence, overindulgence, and lack of self-control is bad for humans and animals. If you are not having self-control over your children, that this is applicable for humans also, for animals also, then it is totally harmful for them. Title, justification of the title. The title is justified as the entire story is revolved around the dog, Tricky. Tricky is the main character. And his illness, the small dog was very much pampered by Mrs. Pumphrey, who is Tricky's mistress. She often overfed him and this led to some serious illness. Mr. Harriot, the veterinary surgeon, helped Tricky by giving him plenty of water and he gave him no medicines and food. And he observed him after a couple of days and he started becoming well, and the mistress was very happy. In her excitement, she said that it was a triumph. Triumph of surgery means victory over something. Values, even nectar is poison if taken to excess. If you do not have self-control, everything will fall. Self-control is strength, calmness is mastery, excess of everything is bad. This is applicable for this chapter. The story Triumph of Surgery revolves around ill dog named Tricky and his mistress, Mrs. Pumphrey. Dog was hugely fat, his eyes were blood and red and rheumy. Mrs. Pumphrey gave him malt, cod liver oil and bowl of Horlicks. Still he was not able to get well, and the doctor advised her to cut down all the sweet things. Then also she did not listen. She thought that her dog was not well and she started giving end number of energy giving food. Tricky left eating and kept vomiting. He was to be hospitalized. The doctor gave Tricky nothing to eat for the first 2 days except water. On the third day, there were signs of improvement. He started showing signs of improvement and he started playing with the dogs. He started taking food properly. The doctor didn't give him any medical treatment. Tricky used to run around and play with the other dogs cheerfully. Soon he recovered completely. Mrs. Pumphrey continued inquiring about Tricky on phone. When she came to collect the dog, her eyes were shining like anything and she called it a miracle that happened. Next chapter, Thief Story. Thief Story written by Ruskin Bond. Main characters, Hari, Anil. Hari, 15-year-old thief, Anil, a writer. Theme, what is the theme? The story explores themes of aspirations, trust, guilt, conscience and kindness. Title, justification. Thief Story is an appropriate title. It revolves around the character of the body, Hari Singh. He is a thief and a cheat, but at the last his conscience makes him feel and understand that he was, wrong in cheating his master. He could lead a good life, and then he realized it and went back to him back. He's a thief and a cheat. He comes into contact with Anil. Anil gives him work in his house. One day, Singh steals Anil's money and runs away, but the kindness and love of Anil makes him come back and return the money. Values, what are? Conscience, trust, aspirations, guilt, and kindness. Just Ruskin Bond's The Thief story is more than a thief story. Story deals with the basic human values and relationships. It is easier for a thief to rob a greedy man. It is difficult for even a thief to rob a careless and honest person. And Hari Singh did steal Anil's money, but he could not run away with it. He had no friends because he regarded them to be trouble than help. The only person he really knew was the man he had robbed. Moreover, Anil was ready to educate Anil Singh. He wanted him to become a learned person and to lead a dignified life. The thief's conscience prickled him. Pricked means you can call it, it pricked him, it kept on poking him. Then he came back to Anil and crept on his bed. He slipped the money under the mattress from where he had stolen it in a few hours ago, and he came back. Let us have a look at the midnight visitor. Main characters: Fowler, writer, a Sybil secret agent, Max, a rival secret agent. Now, what is the theme? The story deals with the theme of appearance versus reality and the importance of quick thinking. If you are in danger, you should use your wit and intelligence to prevent that tricky situation. The Midnight Visitor is a very thrilling account of a secret agent Ausable and one particular episode. Ausable did not fit any description of a secret agent. He was a very fat guy. He was not good looking. He did not look like an agent, a secret agent that we read in books or see in films. He was rather fat and sloppy. He lived in a very small room on the 6th floor. However, Ausable was gifted with rare presence of mind. He was quick of action. His fertile brain could invent and cook up stories and situations that would confuse and unnerve his rivals. He cooked up the story of the balcony before the window. See, he cooked up the story of the false balcony. Point to be kept in mind. And the arrival of the police. He outsmarted his rival and enemy secret agent who came to trap him, who was Max, who came to take away a very important paper from him, which was concerning about some new missiles. Though through his presence of mind, Ausable was able to get rid of his rival, Max. What are the values that we understand from this chapter? Do not judge a book by its cover. Importance of quick thinking. Courage to face anything. Overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer. Title: The Midnight Visitor is an appropriate title for the story. This rival secret agent named Max was out-trapped in whose words? Ausable's words. He was the midnight visitor in the story. Story revolves around the three characters, two rival named Ausable and Max, one mystery writer, Fowler. Something important was about to come for Ausable. He was to want an important paper. He wanted an important paper. Max wanted that paper, so he started threatening him, and finally he was outwitted by whom? Ausable. Then Ausable with the automatic pistol in the hand. Question of trust. Main characters: Horace Danby and the lady in red. This is about deceptive. Appearances are always deceptive. Values: we should not trust anyone without knowing about that person. What is the title justification? The theme of the chapter is that you should not trust anyone without finding about that person. The lady in the house pretended to be the owner, and Horace Danby trusted her words. But she was not the real person, the real owner. She was a thief too. But Horace did not suspect her, instead trusted her. Therefore, he trusted that Horace placed in her, and the trust that Horace placed in her was questioned, and there is a doubt whether he should have trusted her. Therefore, the title is extremely justified. Gist, let us have a quick gist. This is a story of two burglars. Who are burglars? Thieves. To rob the same safe. Name of the first burglar is Horace Danby. He goes to rob a safe. There he meets a beautiful lady who pretends herself to be the wife or the owner of the house. Then she is also a burglar. Horace opens the safe for her. He leaves her the fingerprints all over the room. The lady enjoys jewels, and Horace Danby is arrested by the police. He gets a term in prison. Now he is the assistant librarian in prison. So he gets trapped by the words of the lady and finally becomes a victim. Footprints without feet. Griffin. Main characters. Griffin, eccentric. You can call him. Clergyman, priest, his wife. Mr. and Mrs. Hall, inn owners, a type of hotel or a lodge. Jeffers, constable. What is the theme? It deals with the misuse of science for personal use. If you are very knowledgeable, you can use your knowledge in channelizing to the right direction, not to use in the wrong direction. Just story Footprints Without Feet describes the story of a brilliant scientist, Griffin, who degenerated himself into a lawless person because he did not follow any law. Griffin discovered that the human body could become transparent and invisible, but he misused his great discovery. He did not use the power of invisibility for the welfare of the society and mankind. He misused it and to threaten people, to create a trouble for the people, and to beat innocent persons and rob them. He made illegal entries in stores and shops and stole things from there. He committed a burglar in the clergyman's house, the priest's house. He stole ample of money from his desk and Iping. This is the place where he took a room. Griffin remained invisible or unseen only when he was without clothes because he swallowed that drug and he was invisible. Okay. Then he put on in clothes, he lost his invisibility and could be seen by the people around him. The lesson gives a message that misuse of science and its great discoveries can lead into disastrous results. So he became a monster and started threatening people, became a lawless person. Justification of the title: Footprints Without Feet is a story of a scientist who discovers how to make himself invisible, but he channelized his energy into the wrong direction. Then he could make a man visible, but this brilliant scientist misuses this wonderful discovery. He uses it for selfish purposes and harm others. He looks transparent but still solid as a glass. The footprints made by his transparent foot is kept as the story's title. This is the name of your textbook. So values: we should not misuse anything for our personal use. We should not harm others for self-benefit. And we should not be greedy. We should not be dishonest. Making of a scientist: main characters, Richard E. Bright, mother, Urquhart, brilliant scientist, sharp-minded person. Wearer, Richard's teacher. What is the theme? Curiosity, experimentation, pursuit of knowledge, passion, dedication, determination. Okay, title of the story is Making of the Scientist, which aptly suits as it is a journey of a student who worked hard on his goal and became a brilliant scientist. Just Making of a Scientist is the story of a scientist. Richard E. Bright, Robert Peterson is the writer. After the early death of her husband, E. Bright was everything. Early death of her husband. Who's E. Bright's mother? E. Bright was everything for his mother. He used to get top grades in schools at a very early age. When he was just in the second standard, he had already collected how many species of butterflies? 25. Found around his hometown. Book That Travels of Monarch X. A very important factor in this particular chapter. This was gifted to him by his mother. That changed his life and opened the world of science to him. Gave him a thorough knowledge about the monarch butterflies. In the year of his high school, he collected all the species, started working on experimentation, and first of all, he started experimenting, but when he did not receive any project, any award for his project, When he did not receive award for his project, then he worked hard on real experiments. He started real experimentation and he was awarded with the highest awards. And then he mentions 3 qualities that go into the making of scientist. He became successful and achieved almost top honors of that particular time. He was highly Who was his mentor? His mother, his teacher, and the passion that he had for science. These all are the things that made him successful. The author mentions 3 qualities that go into the making of a scientist: first-rate mind, curiosity, will to win for the right reasons. Hard work, determination, it leads to ultimate success. If you dream, you can achieve it. You also learn it from this chapter. Everybody should be passionate. Let us have a look at the necklace. Main characters, Guy de Maupassant is the writer, French writer. Characters are all French. Main characters, Matilda Loisel, Mr. Loisel, Madame Forrester. Theme is greed and pride. We should not fall into greed. We should not fall into pride. Whatever we have, we should be satisfied with that. Only then we are going to live a happy life. If we keep finding out problems with everything, we keep complaining, that then we are not be able to live properly. What are the values? Be happy with what you have. Always be true to yourself. One should not be greedy. Person should not be proud as to pretend to be someone in a higher station in life than who she or he really is. Whatever we are, we should accept the reality and be presentable like that manner only in front of people or in society. Just, necklace is a mild satire but with a strong message. It is ridiculous for people of any ordinary means to copy the rich. You should not copy anybody. One should live with one's own means, otherwise he or she invites unnecessary problems, like we have studied in this chapter: necklace, Matilda Viper, Madame Loisel, and Madame Forrester. She is a rich lady, Madame Forrester. Loisel is the husband of Matilda Loisel. She is the lady who keeps complaining with her life. The main message of the story is that we should be what we actually are. False pride is the cause of our suffering. The loss of a false necklace by Mrs. Loisel was not a big loss. Things could be settled, but her pride, her greed took her into a great trouble. Now, thinking things would have been settled, right, if she had confessed the loss of the necklace to the owner, Madame Forrester. This small lapse or mistake or Mrs. Loisel makes her whole life miserable and dark. And the irony was that cause of all things sufferings was a false necklace. It was not a real necklace, it was a false necklace. When she came to know, then there was nothing to be cried upon. Her 10 years of life had already been wasted. Next is Bholi, very important. Bholi, Valli, important questions. Questions comes from this particular topic. Bholi, central character. Ramlal, Bholi's mother, Bholi's school teacher who transformed her life. Vishambar, prospective husband, Bholi's prospective husband. Bholi is the story of a girl who was discriminated as she had pock marks, chicken pox. She had chicken pox when she fell from a cot when she was very small. On her face, stammered and was considered to be a simpleton. You can use बड़ों की मात्रा. ठीक है. Bholi suffered with an attack of smallpox when she was just 2 years old. She damaged a part of her brain when she fell off from the cot. Education transformed a dumb cow into a fearless and courageous girl. Why? Just because of the teacher that transformed her life, because she started going to the school. Just to maintain the honor of the family, her father Ramlal put even his turban at the feet of the greedy bridegroom. Who was that? Bishambar Nath. He accepted to marry a girl, but he wanted some money. With pock marks only after getting 5,000. How much money? 5,000 rupees. You should be memorizing it thoroughly. Then Bholi showed the courage of throwing away the garland, and she refused to marry Vishambar Nath, and She promised her parents that she's going to work in the school that she is going to right now, and she's going to take care of her parents in the future as well. What is the theme? Story explores the theme of parental neglect, negligence towards physically disabled, dowry, confidence and self-assertions. These are the points that have been highlighted through this chapter. So Bholi, for the protagonist, the victim of the story, she was called Bholi because she was extremely very simple. She was uncared. She had been looked upon as a simpleton since her childhood. When she was 10 months old, she had fallen from the cot and a part of her brain had been damaged, and she had been a slow learner and hence came to be called as Bholi. But when she got transformed after getting education in the primary school that she kept on going, her teacher gave her confidence and she rejected the marriage proposal, and then finally she became an inspiration for everybody. What are the values? Nobody is perfect. Self-confidence. External beauty is not everything. Real beauty lies inside our soul. Self-assertion. Mistreatment. Parental neglect. Parents should not neglect their children. The Book That Saved the Earth, the last topic, yet very important. The Book That Saved the Earth. Main characters: Claire Boyko, historian, member of the Museum of the Ancient History and the Department, think tank, commander, noodle, sensible, Captain Omega, Lieutenant Sergeant Oop. Gist: the play The Book That Saved the Earth is based on the theme that half-fed knowledge is extremely dangerous. It also tells us how an old book of rhymes saved the Mother Earth, and Mother Goose, the name of the book was Mother Goose. Humpty Dumpty sat on a ball. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king men, all the king horses could not put Humpty Dumpty together again. Then, play set in the 25th century, historian turns on the hysteroscope and brings us back to the 20th century. 5 centuries back, the play begins with great and mighty think tank with the people of Mars Central Control. Think tank is the commander-in-chief and the ruler of Mars. He's praised and flattered as the most intelligent and powerful creature in the whole universe. But think tank gives ridiculous and fantastic interpretations of books. He calls them sandwiches, and his misinterpretations of the rhyme of Mother Goose let him fall into a great trouble. He is nothing more than an ignorant and haughty despot and relishes nothing but pure and simple flattery. And in the end, think tank stops the invasion on Earth and orders and complete the evacuation of Mars. He wanted to destroy our planet, but because of that book, Earth was saved. Theme: story explores the themes of imagination, servitude to whims and fancies of authorities, need and demand for flattery, and half-fed knowledge. Title: the end of the story makes the title and justified. The Book That Saves the Earth, the life of the planet Earth, by the book Mother Goose, nursery rhyme book, and which has nursery rhymes. The chief theme is to be careful and believe in the half-fed knowledge is always dangerous. With this, I end my session. Thank to all of you for listening patiently, and I wish all the good luck to all my 10thies. See you on Monday. God bless. Take care. Goodbye.